Chapter 10:23. Working like a horse, Zhao Jiangshan became the first expert to reach the heavenly Tao realm. Just as he was about to display his might and snatch Gu Chencha's authority, he was suppressed in front of everyone and even turned into a cow. If you want to become the heavenly Tao realm, you must be the cow of all living beings. Gu Chencha looked at Zhao Jiangshan, who was filled with resentment. You still don't understand this principle, so I turned you into a cow and made you open up the endless void, turning the void into a fertile world that can bear even more living beings. This is the process of training you. During this process, you will understand the true meaning of the dragonless mental cultivation technique. Of course, if you are blinded by hatred and resentment, it doesn't matter if you don't understand it. You will forever be your cow. Gu Chencha, don't put on an act here. In fact, what you're doing is that those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will die. I don't believe that you will be able to enjoy the throne forever. Suddenly, the dog that Fa Wuxian had turned into started howling as well. Smack! The little godson lashed out with a whip, and Fa Wuxian let out a pained cry. His entire body started burning, and the fire seeped into his bones, causing him to roll on the ground. Go! Lu Baiwe pointed again, and the dog that the Great Spirit God had turned into pounced forward. He pressed down the dog that Fa Wuxian had turned into and started doing some unsightly things. Fa Wuxian had been turned into a female dog, while the Great Spirit God had turned into a male dog. This was the Emperor of Heaven's idea. He wanted to completely humiliate Fa Wuxian, causing him to lose all his dignity and anger. The Great Spirit God no longer had any dignity. He was beaten until he begged for mercy in pain every day. It was as if he was suffering from hellish pain at all times. Fa Wuxian had almost lost his mind. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he had been humiliated like this. It was simply unbearable. Gu Chencha, I would rather be destroyed and lose my power forever. I don't want my soul anymore. I want to curse you. I curse you to fall. I will use my eternal life in exchange for the chance to destroy you. Why? Endless resentment was brewing inside Fa Wuxian's body. It actually caused an unbelievable change. A sliver of heavenly energy was born. Wonderful! Gu Chencha observed the changes. He discovered that Fa Wuxian was incomparably angered and humiliated. Immense resentment was born in the depths of his heart. Such resentment stimulated the spirit force in his heart to its limits and was finally released, transforming it into heavenly Tao energy. Gu Chencha waved his hand, and the power of the heavenly Tao that was born in Fa Wuxian's body was extracted. It spun in his hand, and after studying it for a moment, the power of the heavenly Tao transformed into a medallion. Not bad, not bad. A token formed from heavenly Tao energy is also a treasure. In the future, if anyone has meritorious service, I will turn this heavenly Tao energy into a token and give it to him, Gu Chencha said. Gu Chencha. Fa Wuxian seemed to have no strength left. He was filled with deep despair. Seeing this, Gu Chencha waved his hand and stopped the two dogs from making a fool of themselves. The Great Spirit God, what do you want to do now? Your Majesty, I am willing to submit. I am willing to do anything. I can continue to humiliate Fa Wuxian on your behalf. I hope to be able to make a name for myself one day. The Great Spirit God made a fool of himself. Very good. Gu Chencha nodded. There will be a day for you to make a name for yourself. However, right now, you are just a vile person who is afraid of punishment. In fact, as long as I let you go, your old illness will relapse. Now that you are humiliating Fa Wuxian, I will turn around and let Fa Wuxian take revenge on you. As he spoke, a universe condensed into a form. Then, he placed Fa Wuxian and the Great Spirit God into this universe. Immediately, Fa Wuxian began the process of ravaging the Great Spirit God. Instantly, countless miserable cries rang out in that universe. Many of the ancestors present were trembling with fear. This was clearly killing the chicken to warn the monkeys. He was using the tragic experiences of Fa Wuxian and the Great Spirit God to warn the people present to do things in peace. Everyone, the matter with the righteous and demonic universes has come to an end. Gu Qinsha said, overall, the righteous and demonic universes have done well. They have nurtured a heavenly Tao realm expert. Of course, Zhao Jiangshan needs to be tempered by his own personality. He needs to work hard for a period of time. If he can completely wake up, he will be of great use. In any case, what you need to do next is to create more of the righteous and demonic universes. More heavenly Tao experts will be born. The entire world will continue to expand, and you will have hope of reaching the heavenly Tao realm. The fourth Emperor of Heaven, the two of you can now contact these ancestors and create another universe. Remember, this universe cannot absorb other powers from the human world as the price. This is like tearing down the east wall to pay the west wall. This way, it will be impossible for a heavenly Tao realm expert to be born. You must use your spirit power to gush it out. This way, the universe you create will be a true universe. Only within this universe can a heavenly Tao be born. Yes. The fourth and Emperor of Heaven lowered their heads. They had no other choice. They were very unwilling, and they still didn't want to do this for others. Look at the ancestors of the righteous and demonic universes. They had painstakingly joined forces and worked wholeheartedly for 1,000 years before a heavenly Tao realm expert was born. But this heavenly Tao realm expert, Zhao Jiangshan, not only didn't want to protect them, he even wanted to suppress and subdue them. He even wanted to kill them. This was equivalent to painstakingly raising something that wanted to kill them and humiliate them. Why did they have to do this? The fourth and Emperor of Heaven weren't willing to do such a thing. But they still hadn't turned around. But now that Gu Qinsha had given them a clear order, they had no choice but to obey. Alright, that's it. Court dismissed. Everyone can leave. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. Court dismissed. The little foster son had returned to his former role, but this time, he was truly playing the role of a eunuch. Of course, he was no longer a eunuch. In the instant that the court dismissed, he seemed to have been reborn. He had fulfilled his wish. Back in that small courtyard in the capital of the Central Plains, Gu Qinsha was still the 19th prince. He didn't have to pay any price, and he basically didn't have any power. But back then, he had fantasized that Gu Qinsha would become the emperor, and then he would stand in the imperial court, second only to the emperor and above millions. Later on, although Gu Qinsha had great power, he had never become the emperor. But now Gu Qinsha had finally sat on the throne. And this throne was trillions of times more powerful than before. He was the supreme emperor who ruled over countless universes, countless spacetime, and countless continents. He was much more powerful than the heavenly talisman emperor of the past. He had finally completed his childhood dream. In an instant it was complete. In the depths of his heart, he no longer had any regrets. The many ancestors had been thoroughly awed by Gu Qinsha. No matter how displeased they were, they didn't dare show it. After all, even a heaven Tao existence had been suppressed by Gu Qinsha, and had been reduced to a cow. The miserable fate of Fa Wuxian and the others also caused people's hearts to tremble. After the meeting was adjourned, some of them left, while others gathered in groups of 2s and 3s to discuss matters. Confucianism ancestor, you stay behind. Emperor of Heaven and the fourth Gu Huasha called out to a group of people, including Confucianism ancestor and spell ancestor. What's wrong? Confucianism ancestor wasn't very pleased. Nihility ancestor, ancestor of Heaven, you've received orders to create a new universe. Are you going to join forces with us? That's right. Nihility ancestor Gu Huasha, the fourth said, and this time, the more ancestors there are, the better. We're going to use the Dragonless Heart Sutra to create a huge universe, a great existence. This is also the only way to fight against Gu Chunsha. What? Fight against Gu Chunsha? Confucianism ancestor's eyes lit up, but then dimmed. He clearly didn't believe it. I have an idea. The fourth Gu Huasha seemed to have thought of something. Nihility ancestor, if you have an idea, just say it. Actually, Gu Chunsha is the strongest, and our days aren't good. We need to raise our noses. If we can have someone who can fight against Gu Chunsha, our days will have a chance. But that's easier said than done, unless that terrible thing is born. But once that terrible thing is born, it will probably devour us. Confucianism ancestor said, you and I should be able to sense it with our cultivation. Indeed, after that terrible thing is born, the first thing it will do is devour everything. Whether that terrible thing can be born or not is another matter. Even if it is born, we can't control it. Nihility ancestor, the fourth Gu Huasha waved his hand. What I want to say is something else. Actually, I've already started secretly creating a universe. Buzz, under the fourth's urging, a universe was born on his fingertip. In this universe, one could see a vast continent, an endless starry sky, and the familiar divine central continent, the four wildernesses, the desolate sea, the desert wildernesses, and the eastern wildernesses. In the divine central continent and the four wildernesses, Yonko was born. Yonko had an emperor, who was also the heavenly talisman emperor. Then Gu Chunsha appeared, as well as various existences from before. In other words, the universe created by the fourth was a miniature version of the original universe, and a brand new Gu Chunsha was born. Only Gu Chunsha can deal with Gu Chunsha. The fourth Gu Huasha said, Confucianism ancestor, what do you think? I'm not strong enough, but if we have countless ancestors, thousands of ancestors, all working together to help me create another Gu Chunsha, two Gu Chunsha fighting each other, that's good for us. None of us are a match for Gu Chunsha, so we can work together to create a Gu Chunsha. Your righteous and evil universes have created a Zhao Jiangshan, which is actually a threat to Gu Chunsha, but not much. However, if we thousands of ancestors work together, and with many changes in fate, it wouldn't be strange to create another Gu Chunsha. That makes sense. This plan is feasible. This is called giving someone a taste of their own medicine. A thoughtful look appeared on the Emperor Heaven's face. Then, a faint smile appeared on his face. Remember the mobile website, M. Chapter 1024. Chapter 1020. Creating Gu Chunsha. Can we really create Gu Chunsha? The Confucianism ancestor was still a little skeptical. Through the series of events, he felt that Gu Chunsha was too powerful. He could basically turn everything around. Even Zhao Jiangshan, who was many times stronger than him, could easily crush him. He had lost confidence in dealing with Gu Chunsha. Sometimes, he even thought about submitting to Gu Chunsha and enduring the humiliation to survive. But now, the words of the Nihility ancestor and the Emperor of Heaven rekindled the flame of hope in him. If they could change the structure of the world, it would be a great thing. Moreover, we can obtain a series of insights in the process of creating Gu Chunsha. Let's all reach Heavenly Tao first. The Nihility ancestor, the fourth, Gu Huasha, said, I can say that no one can be truly invincible. And no one knows Gu Chunsha better than I do. Back then, Gu Chunsha even needed my guidance. I know how Gu Chunsha got to where he is now. Jing Qiu, Gu Hua, and the others didn't come? The Emperor of Heaven looked around. Jing Qiu and Gu Hua have completely submitted to Gu Chunsha. They won't do anything to harm Gu Chunsha. They chose to submit with sincerity, especially Jing Qiu. What a pity. The fourth sighed. But everyone has their own ambitions. We can't force them. I hope they don't regret it. If that's the case, let's start. The Confucianism ancestor said, We'll find a place and build a universe. On the surface, we'll follow Gu Chunsha's will, but in reality, We'll create a new Guchensha according to our ideas. We'll use this Guchensha to kill the real Guchensha. It'll be best if both of them die. Then we'll be completely free. Yes, that's the plan. The fourth nodded. Confucianism ancestor, we'll have to rely on you to persuade the other ancestors. In my opinion, you're the best candidate. Leave this matter to me. As the Confucian ancestor spoke, it was clear that he was duty-bound to do so. Let's go. The fourth, Gu Huasha, and the Emperor of Heaven left. Mr. Zhuge. At the same time, on the other side of the palace, Jing Qiu and Gu Huo were reporting to Zhuge. Jing Qiu said, "The Emperor of Heaven and Gu Huasha have always had rebellious intentions, including the human ancestor Zhang Ziren. Now that they're building a universe, I'm afraid something bad will happen to His Majesty. We should take precautions." Jing Qiu, you've always been against His Majesty, even becoming the vanguard to overthrow Yanko. For the first person who dared to rebel, the two of us fought. In the end, I suppressed you, causing more than half of your clan to perish. Why have you changed your mind now? Zhuge Ye looked at Jing Qiu. It had to be said that Jing Qiu was a powerful person. For so many years, he'd stood at the peak. His Majesty's path is correct. I've come to realize that everything I've done before was wrong. Jing Qiu said sincerely, the Dragonless Heart Sutra has truly expanded the world. The world is no longer a cage. Our cultivation will improve along with the expansion of the world. I'm looking forward to it. If His Majesty succeeds, how far will we evolve? All living beings in the world will be able to cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, obtaining eternal and inexhaustible spiritual power, creating a truly eternal and indestructible world. This is the true cycle. It's good that you can think that way. Because of the creation of living beings, the universe has become limitless. That's the wonderful part. It's a pity that the fourth and the others don't understand. Of course, it's obvious that they want more power. They're not willing to submit to others. But if they continue to cause trouble, I'm afraid the efficiency of His Majesty's plan will be greatly reduced. Jing Qiu said, I have my own arrangements for this matter. Zhuge Ye said, the two of you pay close attention to the movements of the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth. If there's an opportunity, immediately report to me. Yes. Jing Qiu and Gu Huo left. At this time, a figure appeared in front of Zhuge Ye. His body emitted an extremely tyrannical ancestral aura. Above his head there were two figures. Their auras were the same as his. This ancestor was much stronger than the Confucianism ancestor and the others. He was only inferior to the Emperor of Heaven, the Fourth, and Zhang Ziren. Longevity God, how's the matter? This was actually Longevity God, one of the subordinates that Gu Chernxia had subdued in the past. But now, he had become one with the three ancestors. He had become Blessing Ancestor, Prosperity Ancestor, and Longevity Ancestor. This way, he would definitely be extremely powerful. Mister, a lot of things have been taken care of. Longevity God nodded. Now, the number of people comprehending the Heart Sutra in the human world is increasing every day. In addition, some ancestors are also being born. On average, a large number of Empyrean-level experts are born every day. Longevity God reported all kinds of data. Closely monitor. Zhuge Ye said, also, prevent that terrible things will from seeping into the bodies of the ancestors and causing damage to the human world. The recent expansion of the world and the increase in the number of people cultivating the Dragonless Heart Sutra have also secretly affected that terrible thing. Once that terrible thing is born, it will be a huge threat to us. But with His Majesty's current ability, he can seal that terrible thing. Why not seal it? Longevity God was somewhat puzzled. That terrifying thing's strength is indeed tyrannical. Even if it's sealed, it can't actually be killed. Furthermore, even if it's killed, it will still be born after a long period of time. It's better to let it mature and grow and finally completely fuse it into the world. Furthermore, there's one more point, and that is that its birth can intensify the growth of the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Moreover, His Majesty's intention is to rescue Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor. Zhuge said, "Don't doubt it. Follow His Majesty's path, and you will obtain true eternity." "I know about this." A look of excitement appeared on Longevity God's face. "Actually, I want to see what kind of impact that terrifying thing will have on the world when it really appears. Actually, once that terrible thing is born, it will devour everything in the world." Zhuge said, "You can think of it as Fa Wuxian countless times bigger. His Majesty's Dragonless Heart Sutra is about sacrificing everything and creating infinity, while that terrible thing devours everything. It can be said that His Majesty is subverting everything, carrying out an unprecedented change. In the past, our survival was actually based on plundering, without any creation. We must change this." "That's true. I now completely understand that we are the true pioneers. In the past, when all living beings opened their eyes, they had to breathe, drink, eat, and so on. They were all plundering. Now that we have opened our eyes, we are creating mountains and rivers, living beings, spiritual energy, celestial energy, etc. We don't need to plunder, we just give." Zhuge sighed, "Each day the world will change because of us. We definitely won't allow people like Fa Wuxian to exist. The world is starting to change." At this moment, Gu Chernsha stood on the throne and looked at the changes in the human world. Everything was vivid in his eyes and couldn't escape his eyes. In a remote area of the mortal world, there was a small town that was still in the feudal era. Carriages, oxen, fields, wooden houses, stone cities, and powerful martial artists of the pugilistic world whistled past with swords and sabers in hand. Some Tao realm experts presided over an area, just like the Central Plains Divine Prefecture in the past. In a broken wooden house in the town, there was a young man reading. This book was very tattered and no one knew where he picked it up from, but it recorded many cultivation methods. "Unfortunately, this should be a secret book, but I don't have pills or resources, so I can't cultivate at all." The young man looked at it for a while and tried his best to circulate the power in his body, but there was no power in his body at all. Any cultivation required resources. In this continent, in this country, the children of rich families were born with many spirit medicines and were born with a silver spoon in their mouths, so their cultivation speed was extremely fast. However, the children of poor families basically didn't have a chance at all. "I will definitely cultivate a peerless martial art to take revenge." "When will I be able to take revenge?" the young man roared, feeling very indignant. His rage reached a peak. "Why is the world so unfair? Those with power and money can always rise up, while those without power and money can only be lowly people for the rest of our lives. Why is this?" Intense anger spread out from his body and seemed to infect the words on the book. Instantly, the meaning of the words became alive. The human heart is eternal and boundless. Suddenly, the young man felt that he started to understand the meaning of the book. So it's like this. The human heart contains boundless power, but people can't develop it. They lack a key. If we can obtain this key, we can open the treasury. Not only do we not need to steal power from the outside, but we can also give the world more things. We are not stealing the world but enriching it. Everyone is the world's parent. With that thought, an incomparably tyrannical power suddenly surged out from the depths of the youth's heart. This power surged out in waves and rapidly transformed his own body. Crackle! His body suddenly became incomparably strong. Then, from the depths of his pores, spiritual energy actually spurted out. Spirit chi, this is spirit chi. The young man was overjoyed. I know that once one cultivates to a certain level, one can comprehend the spirit chi of heaven and earth, and absorb it into one's body to change one's body, making one extremely powerful. This is what it means to be a Tao realm expert. Once one steps into the Tao realm, one will become a truly powerful person. At the very least, one will be able to rule over the surrounding 100 kilometers. Have I already become a Tao realm expert? But my spirit qi comes from within my body and is not absorbed from the outside world. The young man felt as if a small hole had opened up in the depths of his soul. Power gushed out from it, and the moment it came into contact with his body, it turned into spirit qi. Then, the spirit qi gushed out in all directions, spreading out from his body and into the surrounding air. After that, his shabby wooden house was filled with spirit qi. Chapter 10:25. Shocking start. The strength of the young man continued to grow. The more he activated his spirit force, the more spirit qi gushed out from the depths of his heart, causing the surrounding environment to change. The more spirit qi gushed out, the greater the power gushing out from the depths of his heart. Simply put, in the past, the more spiritual energy one absorbed, the stronger one would become. The more energy one absorbed from the outside world, the higher one's cultivation base would be. But now everything had changed. The more one gave to the world, the stronger one would become. The moment one was born, one had to nurture the world, and not the other way around. Tao Realm first transformation, Tao Realm second transformation. The teen continued to spread his soul force. Not only was his house filled with spiritual energy, but the spiritual energy also spread out and filled up the entire town. The entire town was covered in fog. This fog was a sign of spiritual energy liquefaction. Countless people did not know what was going on, but they felt comfortable breathing in the spirit fog. It was as if their bodies had been cleansed, and even the animals had received great benefits. The young man's strength continued to grow, reaching the Tao Realm 10 Changes realm. In the end, he stopped at the Tao Realm 19 Changes realm, size manipulation. He was just a bit away from breaking through the Tao Realm 20 Changes realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence. Once one reached the Tao Realm 20 Transformation realm, one wouldn't have a physical body anymore. The physical body would turn into spiritual energy, and the spiritual energy wouldn't be spiritual energy, but celestial energy. This phenomenon spread in the town and then to the surrounding towns. It occupied the entire county. All of a sudden, many experts in the county broke through. At that moment, a celestial path sect seemed to have noticed that something was wrong. This celestial path sect was huge, and the sect leader was an Empyrean realm expert. His divine sense swept out, and he was constantly monitoring the continent. He suddenly noticed such a situation. Ha ha ha! The celestial was overjoyed. It's the Dragonless Heart Sutra. I can't believe someone in my territory has successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. This is big news. I have to capture him and suppress him, then devour him. That way I can comprehend the sutra as well. Rumor has it that once I comprehend the sutra, I'll be able to obtain an earth-shattering divine ability. Honglong. The Empyrean personally descended on the town and appeared in front of the teen. The teen opened his eyes and noticed that there was someone in front of him. Who are you? The young man asked fiercely. Brat, don't ask me who I am. I'll give you a great opportunity right now. Immediately acknowledge me as your master and become my disciple, and I'll teach you a peerless divine art. You'll be able to truly stand tall in this world, the celestial said in an ear-piercing voice. Right now I'm cultivating a peerless divine art. In the depths of a person's heart, there are boundless treasures. They're even vaster than the world itself. As long as we continue to develop them, we'll be able to attain eternity. Right now I've only developed a bit. As I progress, I'll definitely reach my goal. Why should I take you as my master? Furthermore, I can tell that you haven't gained enlightenment of this mental cultivation technique. Your cultivation base is still focused on plundering worlds to strengthen yourself. The youth's strength couldn't compare to an Empyrean at all. Although he comprehended the dragonless heart technique, his cultivation was still at the Tao realm 19 transformation, size manipulation realm. In terms of combat strength, he could be killed by an Empyrean 10,000 times. Looks like you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The Empyrean wasn't in the mood to talk nonsense with the teen. He attacked. He had already locked down the space around, and no matter how strong the teen was, he wouldn't be able to escape. The teen's face was ashen white. He knew that even if he became the Empyrean's disciple, he would end up in a really bad state. But he had no way to fight back, and he wasn't his match at all. Hong Long. The Empyrean's palm pressed down, and the teen could only close his eyes and accept his fate. But at that moment the entire space changed once more. A few people appeared in the space. The strong power suppressed the Empyrean such that he couldn't move at all. The Empyrean's eyes opened wide. That was because their clothes and the halos behind their heads represented a faction that couldn't be offended. Empyrean, do you know your crimes? These people were all young, but they actually gave off the aura of Heaven Essence Realm. They directly questioned him. Commoner. Yes. Yes. The Empyrean was nearly frightened to death. The Imperial Court clearly wants to help those who have mastered the dragonless heart technique. Not only did you not help them, but you also want to suppress them. You have ulterior motives. You want to go against the Imperial Court. You deserve to die. Commoner doesn't dare. Commoner won't ever dare again. Spare me, spare me. The Empyrean kowtowed. Unforgivable. The few young men looked at each other and joined forces. In the blink of an eye, the Empyrean transformed into a horse. What's your name? The few Heaven Essence Realm young men asked the young man who had just mastered the dragonless heart technique. Don't be afraid. We're from the Yonko Dragonless Division. We go around recruiting people who have mastered the dragonless heart technique and protecting them. We've all mastered the dragonless heart technique and created worlds and universes. My name is Ergo, the young man said. That's not a good name. But when we reach the dragonless division, His Majesty will give us a new name. You can have the Empyrean's horse. He tried to capture you, kill you, and devour you. That's an unforgivable crime. Not killing him is already a great blessing. From now on, we'll be your oxen and your horse, never to be free. Many thanks for the reward, Ergo said, following the young men away. Such things were happening everywhere in the mortal world. Thanks to Gu Chencha's unification of the mortal world, the dragonless heart technique was being spread. Every day there would be people who mastered it. However, the strange thing was that the weaker one's cultivation base was, the easier it was for them to gain enlightenment of the dragonless heart technique. On the other hand, the ancestor, the Empyrean, and the Empyrean had a very hard time. The truth was that the higher one's cultivation base was, the deeper the karma of plundering the world would be. Everyone who wanted to reach the Empyrean level had to plunder and plunder the world. Who knew how much energy and vital energy they had absorbed from the world. To sever the karma and become a dragonless heart technique was extremely difficult. The only way to do that was to give up all of one's cultivation base and become an ordinary person. But how many people would be willing to give up their cultivation base? This was the reason why Gu Chensha had turned many of his opponents into ordinary people. He had done so to save them. Just as many of Gu Chencha's subordinates were busy with their work, the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth were also carrying out their own plans to create a universe. In a space of nothingness, OL4 released his own universe. This universe was exactly the same as the Heaven Realm. There were more than 2,000 Ancestor Realm experts surrounding this universe. Zhang Ziren was among them, and Zhang Yiren was also cooperating with them. These people had no choice but to submit to Gu Chencha's rule. However, deep in their hearts, they were extremely unwilling to submit. Right now, they were gathered together to create another Gu Churnsha to fight against the current Gu Churnsha. Everyone, I've said everything I wanted to say. The fourth looked at the rotating universe in front of him and said, "You can still cultivate the dragonless heart technique if you channel all of your power into the universe. Among all of you, there are basically no dragonless heart technique. That's because the karma is too deep. Just take this opportunity to create a universe and remove the karma. I'll help you all. When you remove the karma, you can preserve your own strength. You should have seen by now that only the dragonless heart technique can fight against Gu Churnsha. The specific manipulation is indeed feasible." The Confucianism ancestors said, "Actually, it's not that we don't want to cultivate the dragonless heart technique. In reality, the karma involved is too deep and cannot be taken away. Right now, your plan is for us to channel our power into this brand new universe and remove the karma. But because everyone is united, the universe's heavenly Tao is rapidly boiling, so we won't lose our power for a long time and become ordinary people. The reason why we don't dare to abandon our cultivation and cut off our karma is because we are afraid that after we lose our cultivation, we won't be able to comprehend the dragonless heart technique. Even if we do comprehend the dragonless heart technique, we won't be able to recover our strength in a short period of time. The progress of the dragonless heart technique requires us to constantly use our own power to create a world and provide it with abundant resources. During this process, you will create many existences that oppose you. There is even a possibility that they will rebel and kill you." The ancestor of justice sighed, "I feel that the original cultivation method was to devour all things to achieve oneself. But the current dragonless heart technique is to create all things to threaten oneself. That's the logic, but this is the trend of the times. We have no choice but to proceed. Therefore, this is an opportunity for us. I have already cultivated the dragonless heart technique and can protect you." The fourth Gu Huasha said, "I have already told you all my thoughts. Do you know what to do now? Now that things have come to this, we can only take a gamble. Otherwise, even if we don't get oppressed by Gu Churnsha, we will gradually fall behind in the future. I heard that Gu Churnsha has already sent people to gather all the youths who have cultivated the dragonless heart technique. When they gather together and start to grow, they will completely eliminate us. We can't compare to them. They have much more room to grow than us." The ancestor of evil and the others said, "That's the logic. We, the ancestors, are actually a transition. We appeared in the past 1,000 years. And during these 1,000 years, Gu Churnsha created the human world and expanded it. We are like derivatives created by him. Now we have become his obstacles. He actually wants to kill us and integrate into the human world to help those who have cultivated the dragonless heart technique. But we don't want to follow his wishes." The ancestor of love let out a long roar. Chapter 10:26. Chapter 10:23. The situation spirals out of control. The universe began to spin. After that, a total of 2,000 ancestors stood outside the universe, watching the birth and destruction of the universe. There were demons, the divine central continent, the 4 wildernesses, and ancient dust sand in this universe. This was the fourth Gu Huasha who had created Gu Churnsha. He was very familiar with Gu Churnsha, so creating him had been very simple. "Everyone, let's begin. Don't hold back when you pour your power into it. Lose all of your power and become an ordinary person, but the moment you become an ordinary person, our spell formation and contract will protect you. You'll be able to comprehend the Dragonless Mental Sutra and create another universe. That way, you'll be able to sever karma and reincarnate your destiny. Not only will you be able to cultivate the Dragonless Mental Sutra, but you'll also be able to recover your power and reach the ancestor level. You'll be even stronger than before, and you might even reach the heavenly Tao level," said the fourth Gu Huasha. "Nihility ancestor, let's begin. The Emperor of Heaven knew that if he and Gu Huasha didn't set an example, the ancestral ancestors would have some misgivings. Although there were over 2,000 ancestral ancestors present, there weren't many who truly wanted to create a universe. Most of them were just here to watch and take advantage of the situation. If they thought there were benefits, they'd play. If there weren't, they'd back off. Join forces. Bzzz, the Nihility ancestor Gu Huasha and the Emperor of Heaven gathered together, transforming into streams of energy that formed the shape of a Taiji symbol. It then transformed into a person with one head and two faces. One was the Emperor of Heavens, and the other was the fourth Nihility ancestor Gu Huasha's. Rumble. The two of them fused together. The person who had fused with him immediately underwent a brand new transformation. Boundless heavenly Tao energy appeared from his body and turned into many threads that intertwined in the air, wrapping around the ancestor. Heavenly Law Realm. All of the ancestors were shocked. However, it was at this point that the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth both spoke at the same time. Don't panic, everyone. I'm going to use the power of the Tao of Heaven to power a divine ability, eternal eternity. You'll all benefit from it. We've already thoroughly cultivated the dragonless heart magic, which has infinite transformations. Listen, we will tell you all the secrets of the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Once you cut off all the karma with the world, you can directly comprehend and cultivate it. Let's gamble. At this time, the Confucianism ancestor made up his mind. He poured all of his power into the universe without holding anything back. Suddenly, the universe was filled with all of his power, and it instantly expanded. Countless powerful magic treasures and fortuitous encounters were born. All the people with great destiny in the universe began to rapidly grow in power. This was especially so for the created Gu Chensha. Intentionally or unintentionally, he obtained even more fortuitous encounters and gradually matured, becoming invincible in the universe. However, the fusion of the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth did not allow Gu Chensha to have a smooth journey in the universe. Instead, it created a lot of trouble for him to train him. At this time, the Confucianism ancestors' changes were very rapid. The instant he poured in power, he immediately lost all of his cultivation and became an ordinary person. However, the threads of fate on his body seemed to have cut off all connections with the human world, and his body became relaxed. This was the moment when his mind was the strongest in his life, but it was also the moment when his soul and body were the weakest. But at that moment, the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth's comprehension wrapped up the Confucianism ancestor, causing a huge change to occur in the Confucianism ancestor. First, something deep in the Confucianism ancestor's heart seemed to have broken. A great treasure seeped out and started to produce spiritual energy. Good Confucianism ancestor, you have finally given birth to the power deep in your heart. Change the world. Quickly absorb your power into the world and allow it to produce rich materials. The person who fused with the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth roared. As he roared, more and more spiritual energy appeared in Confucian ancestor's body, and the speed became faster and faster. In just a few breaths of time, he broke through to the 20th transformation of the Tao realm. The spiritual energy in his body turned into celestial energy and once again merged into the universe. At this time, he didn't stop. He sensed the benefits and continued to use the skills in his body. He felt that the more he gave to the world, the stronger his cultivation would be. His relationship with the world was like that of a parent and a son. A son was the entire universe and the world. He was now nurturing the world. At the same time, the entire world was his home. He used his own hands to expand his home. The bigger the home, the more room he had to grow. At this moment, he truly understood Gu Chensha's realm. Gu Chensha is really amazing. In the depths of his heart, he was filled with respect towards Gu Chensha. But then, this respect turned into something beyond Gu Chernsha, although you are a pioneer, I can't allow you to do such things. But once my cultivation surpasses yours, I will just remove all your power and lock you up. I won't kill you. After he reached Tao Realm 20 transformation, gather and disperse impermanence, he didn't stop and started to soar. In just a few breaths, he reached God Realm. 2 hours passed and immediately, the Confucianism ancestor reached Heaven Essence Realm. Under the activation of the fourth and Emperor of Heaven, the universe absorbed more power from the depths of his soul, causing the power in his soul to surge out like a tidal wave. The powers exploded and shook one another, causing the combat strength of the Confucianism ancestor to seem even stronger than when he was at his peak. Everyone, why aren't you injecting power in to expand this universe? I have already gained benefits. Although I haven't recovered to Ancestor Realm, my combat strength has only increased. It's just a matter of time before I become an ancestor, and I can sense a trace of the heavenly Tao's aura. The Confucian ancestor laughed heartily. He felt incredibly carefree. Indeed, since there is such a good thing, then let's start. Some ancestors saw an opportunity and suddenly took action, channeling all of their power into the cosmos. Instantly, more and more ancestors gave up on their cultivation and the universe became bigger and bigger. At the same time, the Confucianism ancestor felt the attraction get stronger and stronger, so he used this chance to break through to Ancestor Realm. I have returned to Ancestor Realm, and my strength is many times stronger than before. I feel like I can defeat 10 of myself. The Confucianism ancestor roared. Ever since I stepped into Ancestor Realm, I could not improve at all. But now I have completely changed my cultivation. I have also changed my cultivation. Good, very good. The heavenly path is not too far away from me. At this moment, Ai Zhu let out a deep sound. In an instant, he had abandoned all of his cultivation base and comprehended the Dragonless Heart Sutra once more. After that, his cultivation base rose bit by bit, pushing it to the limit. It was much faster than the Confucian ancestors' cultivation base. Good fellow. The Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth fused and immediately felt that the love god was not simple. He was actually using this chance to get a feel of the ancestors. Rumble. At that moment the aura of the heavenly path was born. Someone has broken through to the heavenly path. Who is it? Who is it? Many of the ancestors were shocked and turned to look at one person. That person was Zhang Ziren. Zhang Ziren was the human ancestor, and occupied a lot of destiny in the human realm. Now, when he was giving up power and comprehending the dragonless mental cultivation technique, he had broken through layers of restrictions and the aura of the heavenly path was born. Who would have thought that we would be a bit late? When the Fourth and Emperor of Heaven saw this, they felt very upset. They decided to throw caution to the wind and split up, once again giving up their power. Therefore, the universe expanded and lost control, turning into a brand new universe that no one could control. Even the creators of the Fourth and Emperor of Heaven could no longer control everything in the universe. However, the Fourth and Emperor of Heaven were throwing caution to the wind, and the power of the heavenly Tao was born within them. We lost control of the universe, but we also gained enlightenment of the heavenly Tao, the Fourth said to the Emperor of Heaven. So that's how it is. That's not good news. Does reaching the heavenly path mean losing control of the world? Gu Chernsha seems to have lost control of the human realm. All of the powerful entities he created don't listen to his command. The universe is evolving. What do we do? The Emperor of Heaven was confused. More than 2,000 ancestors were pouring power into the universe, causing it to expand to the limit. Everything was out of control, which meant that the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth were no longer in control of the universe. It was as if there was some powerful entity brewing in the universe. Rumble. Suddenly, a stream of pitch-black energy, which was not entirely black, poured into this universe from a faraway place. This energy was much greater than the combined power of over 2,000 patriarchs, the fourth celestial emperor, and even Zhang Ziren. Not good. This is the power of that terrifying thing. This power is at level 9 of the immortal realm. It's far beyond us. Zhang Ziren became nervous. In the blink of an eye, the universe expanded to an unimaginable size, and after receiving the power of the 9th level of the deathless realm, all of the 2,000 ancestors were sucked into it. We wanted to create Gu Qinsha, the Emperor of Heaven said. But now, that terrifying thing is making a move. Let's go. The Celestial Emperor roared. These people gathered together, and in the nick of time, they broke through the cosmic envelope and left. Chapter 10:27. Into medicinal pills, the universe is completely out of control. All the ancestors were still in shock as they watched the universe grow larger and larger. Something terrifying was brewing within it. At this time, the Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth were both fearful and delighted. Actually, this was something they had expected. At the very least, the two of them had reached the heavenly Tao realm, and the universe they had created had given birth to a powerful existence. As for whether or not that powerful existence was Gu Qinsha, they didn't care. Their original intention was to create a Gu Qinsha to fight against the real Gu Qinsha. But that terrifying thing had entered the universe and caused a new change. The thing that was born in the universe wasn't another Gu Qinsha, but an extremely terrifying existence. Of course, this was something that the Fourth and Emperor of Heaven had calculated. The aura in this universe is countless times stronger than the Zhao Jiangshan that was born in the righteous and evil universes. This aura might really be able to fight against Gu Qinsha. Many ancestors were here to observe. They didn't run away. Instead, they banded together to see what this out-of-control universe could bring them. They had almost been sucked into this universe, so they didn't care about the danger. Because among the 2,000 ancestors present, some of them hadn't cultivated the dragonless heart art. Only a small portion of them had been reborn, severed their karma, and had the space to improve. Many of them knew that if they lost this chance, they wouldn't have the time to improve anymore. The universe started to shrink, but the aura was getting stronger and stronger. It was as if it could destroy the world. Endless devouring power erupted from it, as if it wanted to absorb everything in the universe into its body. This was similar to Fa Wuxian's devouring power, but it was the complete opposite of the dragonless heart art. The dragonless heart art created a world, using all of one's spirit power to make the world richer. The Tao of devouring, on the other hand, absorbed everything into one's body, pushing the Tao of plunder to the extreme. The Emperor of Heaven, the Fourth, and Zhang Ziren turned pale with fright. Not good. Let's go. If we stay here, we might be devoured. You want to run? How could it be that easy? A voice rang out in the universe, and the devouring power swept over violently. The Emperor of Heaven and the Fourth were unable to fight back at all. Oh no. Only now did the Emperor of Heaven, the Fourth, realize how big of a mistake he had made. They could only close their eyes and wait for death. However, at that moment a gigantic palm descended from the sky. This palm brought with it boundless might and light, becoming the only thing in the world as it pressed down from the sky. Bang! The gigantic palm fiercely slammed into the universe, and the devouring power in this universe suddenly exploded, emitting a miserable sound. It completely exploded, turning into countless black gas that entered many places in the human realm. After that, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye, and the others appeared here. The Fourth, Emperor of Heaven, do you know your crimes? Lu Baiwei asked. What crimes did we commit? The Fourth frowned. We were ordered to create a universe, once again nurturing a heavenly Tao realm expert. However, we were careless, and that terrifying thing took advantage of us. This time, if it wasn't for His Majesty acting, all of you would have died without a place to be buried. You all had ambitions and wanted to create a powerful existence to contend against His Majesty. Hence, this karma and fate was grasped by that terrifying thing, causing its will to descend. Zhuge said, this way it accelerated its evolution. Right now, although His Majesty has shattered the will of that terrifying thing, it hasn't been completely destroyed. This terrifying thing has entered many places in the human realm, and in the future, it will transform into many powerful characters. This matter is not something we can control. Right now, the Emperor of Heaven's attitude was a bit inflated. He had ascended to the heavenly Tao realm, and right now, Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye still hadn't ascended. Therefore, in the depths of his heart, he definitely wouldn't allow two people who were much weaker than him to clamor in front of him. However, with the power of Gu Chernsha suppressing him, he didn't dare to be too presumptuous. If it wasn't for Gu Chernsha, he would have long since killed Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye. What? Emperor of Heaven, you don't accept our accusations? Lu Baiwei's expression darkened. It seems like you want to resist His Majesty's rule? I'm just telling the truth. For some reason, the Emperor of Heaven, who had ascended to the heavenly Tao realm, didn't want to be a yes-man and bow and scrape. However, he also didn't want to resist immediately, because he knew that he was still not a match for Gu Chernsha. Since you think that what I did was wrong, then please report to His Majesty to punish me. How dare you quibble here? Kneel. Lu Baiwei took out an imperial edict. This is His Majesty's decree. His Majesty already knew what you wanted to do, but I didn't think that you would really obey on the surface, but secretly oppose on the inside, and do something unmanageable here. Emperor of Heaven, you are the main culprit. I didn't do anything, why should I kneel? Emperor of Heaven shouted loudly. Stubborn. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want after reaching the heavenly Tao realm? How dare you disobey His Majesty's orders? Lu Baiwei threw the imperial edict. 1. The imperial edict flew up and pressed down on the Emperor of Heaven's head, causing the Emperor of Heaven to kneel with a crack. Even though the Emperor of Heaven had reached the heavenly Tao realm, it was of no use, and he was forced to kneel by the imperial edict. No. At this moment, the celestial Dharch could no longer suppress the humiliation in the depths of his heart. I am the celestial Dharch, an existence that dominates heaven and earth. You actually want me to kneel? I am the Lord of all things, the supreme celestial Dharch of all things. I am the embodiment of the origin, the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. I cannot be humiliated like this. Rumble. The celestial emperor's grievance had reached its limit, and he finally began to explode. His strength increased again, and his spirit boiled. Many universes were born and destroyed in his body, and he repeated the process again and again. He actually managed to lift the imperial edict. You will all die. Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye, you have humiliated me enough. Emperor of Heaven stood up, his expression calm. Nihility ancestor, are you still not going to resist? I can feel that the world has changed, and Gu Chernsha can no longer control the situation. If he could, he wouldn't have let that terrifying things will spread out. So, our chance has come. If my guess is correct, Gu Chernsha is fighting with that terrifying thing, and we have a chance. Kill Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye now. At that moment, some ancestors heard the Emperor of Heaven's words, and they were tempted to act. Ancestor of Heaven is stubborn, and he has rebelled against the government. This is treason and heresy, and his crimes cannot be pardoned. Lu Baiwei seemed to have expected the Emperor of Heaven to resist, and she took out a second imperial edict. Your Majesty has decreed that Ancestor of Heaven will be reduced to a medicinal pill, and he will sink into oblivion for all eternity. Buzz, as soon as the second imperial edict appeared, colors flashed in heaven and earth. Countless bolts of lightning and space-time flowed in reverse, and a river of fate descended, wrapping around the heavenly emperor. No, no, I don't want to. Emperor of Heaven panicked. Gu Chensha, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. Even if you want to turn me into an animal, I won't object, but don't turn me into a medicinal pill. It was a pity that the Emperor of Heaven's cries and pleas had no effect. In the end, he was turned into a medicinal pill, which seemed to contain the entire universe, and countless stars and spaces flowed within it. Everyone, His Majesty has summoned you to discuss important matters. Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye looked at everyone coldly before leaving. All of the ancestors present, including the fourth and Zhang Ziren, didn't dare to resist. They just looked at each other, and in the end, they accepted the summons and went to the palace hall. The first thing they saw was Gu Chensha sitting on a throne, high and mighty. In front of the throne was a table, and on top of that table was a medicinal pill. That medicinal pill was the manifestation of the Emperor of Heaven. He had been the ruler of heaven and earth, but now, he had become a medicinal pill. Even if Fa Wuxian had become a dog, he would still be able to turn things around in the future. But now, he had become a medicinal pill, and if anyone consumed it, they would never be able to turn things around. Ladies and gentlemen, Emperor of Heaven has committed treason and heresy, and has rebelled against my rule. He has ulterior motives, and therefore, I have turned him into a medicinal pill. Gu Chensha looked around at the patriarchs. If any of you have any ulterior motives, you'll end up just like him. However, if you perform a meritorious service, I'll bestow this medicinal pill upon you. After consuming it, you'll gain all of the abilities of the Emperor of Heaven. The fourth looked at the medicinal pill, and it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. The Emperor of Heaven and the fourth had always been one and the same. They had fought each other, but had always been on guard against each other. Truth be told, the fourth had long since wanted to consume the Emperor of Heaven. If he could do that, his cultivation base would advance even further. Although he had already reached the Heaven Dao level, if he could consume the Emperor of Heaven, he might be able to gain enlightenment of some of the secrets of the boundless deathless. Therefore, the fourth was very excited to see the medicinal pill. In the past, his cultivation base had been similar to that of the Emperor of Heaven, and he hadn't been able to do anything to him. But now that he had the medicinal pill, he would be able to rise to a terrifying level. The fourth, Gu Chensha said, I originally wanted to turn you into a medicinal pill to pair up with the Emperor of Heaven. Deep in your heart, you don't want to agree with my ideals. But we're brothers, so I'll give you a chance. If you do something like that again, then there's nothing I can do about it. Heaven and earth are about to change, and if you don't follow my ideals, then even if I don't kill you, you'll die a horrible death. As you know, that terrifying thing is actually a counterattack from the old world. In the old world, all living beings and countless civilizations were plunder. But now that we've given up on plundering, and have discovered the power of the spirit, the remnant will of the old world is going crazy. Gu Chensha continued. Chapter 10:28. Eternal Continent, from now on, I will follow your Majesty's orders without any second thoughts. At this time, the fourth brother, Gu Huasha, had no choice but to bow his head in submission. However, the depths of his heart were completely filled with that pill. He thought, the future is going to be eventful. The universe we created is out of control. Although Gu Chensha defeated it, he didn't destroy the origin. The origin is still scattered in the human world. It will definitely breed a huge disaster. When these disasters gather together, it will bring about all kinds of unimaginable changes. This is my chance. So, I must get this elixir and combine it with the power of the Emperor of Heaven. Only then can I comprehend the 9th level of the immortal realm and have the capital to fight against Gu Chensha. I can see that Gu Chensha has surpassed the heavenly Tao realm and entered the immortal realm. Only when that terrible thing comes out can I fight against him. Even if I have reached the heavenly Tao realm, I won't be his match. But in the future, there will be more and more heavenly Tao realm experts. If we unite our hearts, it will be an extremely terrifying power. I have to plan carefully. I can't fight against Gu Qinsha for now. I have to wait for an opportunity. Patience, patience. The Emperor of Heaven turned into an elixir because he didn't have patience. Not only the fourth Nihility ancestor Gu Huasha, but everyone else was also drooling over the elixir. Sword, saber. Gu Qinsha waved his hand casually. Suddenly, a saber and a sword appeared on the table together with the elixir. The saber and the sword were Gu Tanjian and Gu Changjian. They were the reincarnations of Infinite Blade and Infinite Sword. After being fattened by Gu Qinsha, they became sabers and swords again, but they were countless times stronger than the original Infinite Sword and Infinite Blade. Because Gu Tanjian and Gu Changjian were the Sword Master and the Saber Master. As long as you do a good job, I can reward you with these magic treasures. However, there is only one thing that I need. The places that you govern must produce a large number of people who have mastered the dragonless cultivation technique. By now, all of you should know that the abundance of resources in this world must be created by those who have mastered the dragonless cultivation technique. If every single one of them devours everything, the world will soon be destroyed, said Gu Qinsha. We will remember your Majesty's teachings. Even the Confucianism ancestor lowered his head. He wasn't completely convinced, but he was afraid, extremely afraid. Even the Emperor of Heaven had become a medicinal pill. There was nothing Gu Qinsha wouldn't be able to do. You may leave. After lecturing him for a while, Gu Qinsha dismissed the ancestors, leaving only Zhuge Wenhong, Martial Sage, Longevity God, Jin Suebua, Lu Baiwei, and the others. Qinsha, I don't think any of these people are sincere. I don't know why, but they just can't come around. The same goes for the fourth. He's determined to go against you. Lu Baiwei frowned. You turned the Emperor of Heaven into a medicinal pill. Anyone who takes it will have all of the Emperor of Heaven's cultivation level and divine abilities. However, it's obvious that this medicinal pill will be the most helpful to the fourth's cultivation level. If the fourth takes it, he'll be fusing with the Emperor of Heaven. I think he'll definitely do everything he can to get it. If the fourth is still stubborn, I won't be able to save him. Gu Qinsha sighed. Now that things have come to this, the world is in the final stage of transformation. Once I succeed, I'll have changed the truth of the past, and the world will step into a new realm. It's a pity that these people are still trying to stop me. Our biggest problem now is that when that terrifying thing comes out, it'll destroy everything we've worked so hard for. No one can stop this. We'll definitely be able to create a new situation. Wenhong nodded. That terrifying thing is the old world, the strongest counterattack of the old rules. The birth and rise of a new era is unavoidable. The counterattack of the old world won't be able to stop us from moving forward. I think the time for that terrifying thing to come out is getting closer. It might come out at any time. Look. Gu Qinsha suddenly pointed. In the blink of an eye, a gigantic sphere appeared in front of his palm. This sphere was pure black in color, and countless tentacles stretched out in all directions. These tentacles were constantly changing, wriggling, vibrating, and exploding. They seemed to be starting to seep into the human world to absorb energy. In the process of absorbing power, the pitch-black sphere started shrinking. At first, it was boundless, but it gradually shrunk by 1,000 times. In the end, the sphere seemed to be shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, while it was shrinking, its power did not shrink. Instead, it was increasing. The inside of the pitch-black sphere was filled with undying power, and it had started transforming. We're no match for undying power. Even if we rise to the heavenly Tao realm, we won't be able to resist it. In front of undying power, we're just ants. Wenhong said. What should we do? There's no rush. As long as you keep creating worlds, your power will increase. It's only a matter of time before you reach the heavenly Tao realm. Gu Chensha said. Now you can work together to create a universe. As for what will come out of that universe, it's not something you should worry about. We have a plan for that. It's indeed time to work together to create a universe. Lu Baiwe said. Zhang Ziren and the fourth have both reached the heavenly Tao realm. We can't fall behind. As she spoke, Lu Baiwe immediately gathered the spirit power in the depths of her heart and formed the embryonic form of a universe in front of her. Meanwhile, Gu Chensha's entire body disappeared without a trace. He went to a certain place in the human realm. The current mortal world was getting more and more complicated. Not only were there many continents in great numbers, there were even innumerable universes of various sizes that were born and destroyed like bubbles. It could be said that even if one advanced to the heavenly Tao realm, one would still be unable to control the mortal world. If the mortal world was an enormous ocean, then one who cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm would only be a flood dragon in this ocean. As for the ancestral realm, one would only be a huge whale. As for heaven primordial, heaven longevity, and heaven Zune, they were just fish in the ocean. Of course, it was different for those who cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. They kept expanding the ocean, making it bigger. That way, the ocean would give them more things. This was the result of the combination of endless cultivation and spirit, creating a complementary effect on the world. Gu Chensha once again toured the human world to find the person that was born from that terrifying thing. As the source of that terrifying thing condensed, it would definitely give birth to a form somewhere in the human realm. Gu Chensha had to find this form, and it would be best if he could modify it so that it could learn the Dragonless Heart Sutra along with him. In the end, it would completely change its way of thinking and create a new world together. If he could succeed in this way, then Gu Chensha would finally eliminate the remnants of the old world, step into the new world, and create a new world. That way, he would be able to comprehend the 10th level of the immortal realm. Reaching the immortal realm is actually impossible to destroy. I'm also in the immortal realm, so I know the profoundness of this realm. Reaching this realm, it can only be sealed and can't be destroyed. Only when I reach the 10th level of the immortal realm can I destroy it. However, even if I seal this terrifying thing, it will still come out. I have to modify it completely. Gu Chensha deeply knew how terrifying the immortal realm was. Facing that thing, he didn't dare to be careless. Whoosh! Gu Chensha kept circulating the river of fate to calculate. Finally, he locked on to a continent. This continent was called the Eternal Continent. The continent itself was actually a universe. There were suns, moons, and stars within it. Heaven and earth changed, and the universe revolved. Life was created, and there were tens of thousands of races. There were many different kinds of living in these spaces, forming millions of different powers. There were also many experts. This continent wasn't man-made, it was formed naturally. As the human world kept changing, this eternal continent finally condensed into a shape. This eternal continent itself was extremely rich in fate. A universe also had its time of birth and death. The universe itself was also a special life form. It also had its ups and downs, it wasn't truly immortal. Gu Chensha looked at the universe of Eternal Continent and found that it was still in a normal period of development. Moreover, the entire universe was full of qi, without any signs of decline. The best part was that there were many people in this universe who had successfully cultivated the dragonless cultivation technique. Although these people who had cultivated the dragonless cultivation technique weren't very strong, they were all working hard to create this universe. As a result, not only did the universe not show any signs of decline, but it also grew stronger and younger. If a universe was filled with predators, then the universe itself had limited energy. The more parasites there were, the faster the universe would die. For example, the heaven realm in the past, which was also the land of infinity, was also a universe. But as the number of experts increased, everyone was plundering the origin of the universe, causing the universe's energy to quickly dry up and collapse. The truth of the universe has been gradually reversed by me. Countless universes have been born in the human world. The original wills of these universes have gradually come to understand that only those who have successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra are beneficial to the universe. Those who don't are like parasites to the universe itself. Gradually, the original wills of countless universes will hate and reject these people. As time goes by, my overall situation will become more and more powerful, unstoppable. With Gu Chencha's current strength, he could destroy countless universes with a single thought. Because of this, he started to be careful, lest a sneeze from him could turn many universes into ashes. Remember mobile website, M. Chapter 1029. Mr. Wu, I'm too powerful, so powerful that any action of mine can affect the life and death of countless universes. That's why I have to be careful in everything I do. I can't do anything too extreme. Otherwise, if I destroy these universes, I'll have to rebuild them again. That's a troublesome thing. Gu Chensha looked at the current universe and the vast human world and sighed. He was like a master with precious jewels, jades, and porcelain in his house. Every time he did something, he had to be very careful. Otherwise, if he wasn't careful, he would break the jewels and porcelain in his house. Gu Chensha was too powerful. He was no longer suitable for the universe. However, he had nowhere else to go. Therefore, he could only expand the universe and the entire world, making it more magnificent and sturdy. Everything he had done, he had been operating for this purpose. If that terrifying thing appeared, it would start devouring everything in the world, causing great damage to the world. Therefore, Gu Chensha was determined not to let it do as it pleased. That terrifying thing was like a robber who broke into his house. Not only did it wantonly rob, it also destroyed precious jewels and porcelain, destroying everything that Gu Chensha had painstakingly built. It even wanted to destroy the foundation of Gu Chencha's advancement. This was also why Gu Chensha was angry. When the Celestial Emperor and the fourth brother Gu Huasha created the universe, because of their greed, the universe they created went completely out of control, giving the terrible thing an opportunity to take advantage of it. Although Gu Huasha destroyed the universe, the terrible thing appeared again, scattered into the depths of the human world and hid, trying to stir up trouble. Therefore, Gu Chensha calculated this matter. He had to capture this terrifying thing and seal it. This was to prevent it from stirring up trouble and causing the world to return to the track of his plan. The trajectory of his plan was very simple. He wanted the living beings to continuously cultivate the Dragonless Mantra, causing the Dragonless Mantra to spread throughout the universe. Then, all the experts would work together to create many universes in the human realm. Finally, the quantitative change would lead to a qualitative change. Whoosh! Gu Chensha did his best to retract his power as he entered the Eternal Continent. Observing the fate energy, he saw the races, countries, powers, and sects with the strongest fate energy in the Eternal Continent. In the Eternal Continent there was the Dragon Race. The Dragon Race gave birth to Gold Dragons, Diamond Dragons, Fire Dragons, Silver Dragons, and so on. The Dragon Race was similar to lizards. They had wings, and when they stood up, they could transform into human form. They were incredibly powerful, but they could sign contracts with humans and become their mount. It was similar to the world of magic. Of course, there were also powerful humans. Some humans knew magic, some Taoist techniques, some knew martial arts, and some were experts in science and technology. All in all, this universe was extremely rich. The immortal Tao civilization, the martial Tao civilization, the technological civilization, and the magical civilization were all intertwined together. Interesting, interesting. It's actually Long Xiangtian's aura. When Gu Chensha sensed the fate energy, he smiled. He sensed an old acquaintance, Long Xiangtian's aura. When Long Xiangtian had appeared, he had stirred up a storm. But he had been suppressed time and time again, and he had suffered countless times. In the end, all of his abilities had been removed, and he had become an ordinary person. He had disappeared, and no one knew where he had gone. Gu Chensha knew that this person had had some fortuitous encounter, just like Fa Wuxian. However, he didn't care too much. Even someone as powerful as Fa Wuxian had been suppressed, and his life had been worse than death. But from the looks of it, this Long Xiangtian was much more patient than Fa Wuxian, and he was much better at courting death. Gu Chensha knew that it was time to harvest Long Xiangtian. Once he captured him, he would suffer a fate even worse than Fa Wuxian's. After entering the Eternal Continent, Jiang Gu appeared in the imperial city of a country. This country was the center of the Eternal Continent, similar to Yanko's position in the Central Divine Continent. The emperor of this country was a great strategist, and his name was Long Zitian. The Eternal Continent had billions of years of history. Although the human world only had 1,000 years of history, because the human world's timeline was different from the Eternal Continent's timeline, time in the Eternal Continent changed very quickly. The human world's timeline was also completely different from the human world's timeline. In some universes, a day in the human world was equivalent to a year in this universe. In other universes, 10 years or even 100 years had passed. In these billions of years, the Eternal Continent had a very rich history. Countless heroes had appeared, and there were many tragic stories. However, there were no progenitors among them. It seemed that there was some mysterious power that interfered with the birth of progenitors. According to this logic, let alone progenitors, even heavenly Daos could be born in the Eternal Continent. However, there was no progenitor. That means there's some power interfering. This kind of method is much more powerful than the Fourth and the Emperor of Heaven. It can only be terrifying. The center of this universe is the Dragon Emperor of Heaven country, and the Emperor of Emperors is Long Zitian. I have a subordinate called Long Zifei, Long Yun's little brother. He also became the Flying Ancestor. I didn't expect there to be someone called Long Zitian here. It's quite domineering. Jiang Gu directly entered the imperial palace of the Dragon Emperor of Heaven country. The imperial palace of the Dragon Empire was filled with restrictions, and experts were as common as clouds. Gu Chensha could even see restrictions set up by Heaven Origin Realm expert. In other words, if someone at Heaven Origin Realm entered, they might encounter restrictions on the level of a great thousand world. Gu Chensha moved forward. When he was about to enter the depths of the imperial palace, a fog appeared. This fog was formed by many great thousand worlds. Every grain of fog was a great thousand world. If an expert entered, these billions of great thousand worlds would instantly entangle them and then explode. Even a progenitor would be heavily injured. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect a small imperial palace to have such a restriction. This restriction can only be used by Heavenly Daos expert. It seems there are Heavenly Daos experts here. Gu Chensha waved his hand and the fog dispersed. It was impossible for anyone in the depths of the imperial palace to discover them. After entering the depths of the imperial palace, in the study room, 3 people were discussing something. One of them was Dragon Emperor of Heaven, Long Zitian. Next to him was Long Xiangtian. To think that Long Xiangtian's cultivation state was at the progenitor state. However, the magic power rippling out from his body was extremely obscure, such that Lin Fan could not make out his cultivation state at all. At this moment, Long Xiangtian was standing behind someone else. This person was wearing a black cloak, and Lin Fan could not make out what was underneath at all. In fact, there was a possibility that the cloak could be empty without anything inside at all. Long Xiangtian respected this person very much. He didn't dare to move. Of course, there was also a deep fear. On the other hand, Emperor Long Zai-Tian was sitting there and repeatedly asking questions. It seemed that this person in the black cloak was his great imperial teacher. Mr. Wu Wu, how do you think I can unify this universe? Bring the entire eternal continent into my territory? Emperor Long Zai-Tian asked humbly. Mr. Wu Wu, you said that this universe can give birth to many ancestors. However, since you helped me a few hundred years ago, I established the Dragon Emperor of Heaven country here. I used some methods to secretly absorb the fate energy of the entire universe. This made it impossible for progenitor realm experts to be born in this universe. Thus, my country's fate energy reached its peak. However, will it be troublesome to do this? There will be some trouble. Long Xiangtian said, our biggest enemy isn't this universe. This universe isn't a threat to us. If we want to unify it, we can do it at any time. However, if we do that, the drastic changes in the universe will attract the attention of a powerful existence. Once he notices this place, our plan will fail. Mr. Wu Wu, what's your plan? Why don't you tell us? The Dragon Emperor of Heaven country Long Zai-Tian said. I've listened to Mr. Wu Wu all these years and obtained great benefits. Now I've reached progenitor realm, and might even advance further. However, in the eyes of the outside world, I'm still very weak. I also know that our eternal continent is just a drop in the ocean compared to the entire human world. Currently, the strongest person in the myriad worlds of the heavens and earth is called Gu Chensha. However, his forces have yet to penetrate into our eternal continent. But sooner or later, his claws will come. Regarding this matter, how should we deal with it? That's a good question. You should take a longer view. Mr. Wu Wu, who was wrapped in a cloak, said, I'm very clear about Gu Chencha's plan. He wants everyone to cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra and keep expanding the world. However, this is a very dangerous action. The endless expansion will eventually lead to an explosion. Look at this bubble. As he spoke, a bubble appeared on Mr. Wu Wu's finger. After the bubble was infused with power, it kept expanding. Suddenly, it expanded to its limit and actually started to explode. That's why the world must have the power to absorb and the power to create. It has the power to create everything, but it also has the power to devour everything and turn everything into nothingness. Mr. Wu Wu said, this is where fate energy lies. What we need to do now is to restrain Gu Chensha. If we succeed, our cultivation base will enter an unimaginable realm. Chapter 10:30. Chapter 10:27. Chapter 10:27. Conservation theory. Mr. Nun's strength was unfathomable and one couldn't tell that he had reached some mysterious realm. However, be it the Emperor Long Zai-Tian or Long Xiangtian, they were all very respectful towards him. Gu Chensha just looked at the three of them and realized that Mr. Nun's strength was actually at Undying Realm level 9. From this, one could see that this Mr. Nun was definitely a powerful existence that was evolved from that terrifying thing. Facing this Mr. Nun, Gu Chensha had absolute confidence in suppressing him. However, he also had to prevent the other party from destroying the entire world and destroying countless lives. The universe of the Eternal Continent was extremely huge, and many people had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. They had started to give the world their spirit power, enriching it. If Gu Chensha and Mr. Nun were to fight, then this vast universe would instantly turn into nothingness. The shockwaves might even spread to other universes. If that happened, Jiang Gu didn't know how long it would take for the world to recover. Therefore, he had to ensure that nothing went wrong. He had to destroy this scourge, Mr. Nun, while benefiting the world. Right now, everyone in the human world who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra was Gu Chensha's wealth. He definitely couldn't allow any of them to be lost. Only by expanding the world would Gu Chencha's cultivation base break through completely and reach the strongest realm. He would be able to comprehend the 10th level of the Tao of Undying. At this moment, in the study room of the palace, Mr. Nun, Emperor Long Zai Tian and Minister Long Xiang Tian were still discussing this matter. Emperor Long Zai Tian's intention was clear. No matter what, they had to harvest the Heaven Tao energy here and reach the Heaven Tao realm. Once they reached the Heaven Tao realm, many things would become much more convenient. Actually, Emperor Long Zai Tian didn't really trust Mr. Nun and Long Xiang Tian. However, both parties were united by benefit. If not for Mr. Nun and Long Xiang Tian, the current Emperor Long Zai Tian wouldn't have cultivated to this stage. There's no rush in harvesting the Heaven Tao energy. Mr. Nun warned again, if you start harvesting, you will attract Gu Chencha's attention. When that time comes, the gains won't make up for the losses. Look at Zhao Jiangshan. He was the first Heaven Tao realm expert, but he was suppressed and turned into a cow. Now, he's still toiling and being led by the nose by others to open up the void and create one world after another. He's tired to death every second. I don't think you want to become such an existence. For example, the Emperor of Heaven. He also reached the Heaven Tao realm, but Gu Chensha seized the opportunity and turned him into a medicinal pill. He's even more miserable than Fa Wuxian. Right now, only Zhang Ziren and Gu Huasha are experts in the Heaven Tao realm. Why didn't Gu Chensha kill the two of them? Actually, Gu Huasha is his brother after all. Zhang Ziren is the lord of the human world, so he has some connection with the human world. If he kills him, I'm afraid there will be some instinctive fluctuations in the human world, which will be disadvantageous to the overall situation. However, as he gradually realizes his plan, the two of them will have a hard time escaping death. So, whoever reaches the Heaven Tao realm will be in grave danger. Let me think about this. Emperor Long Zai Tian went into deep thought. In that case, let's go to another universe. When your Majesty has made up your mind, come and inform us. Mr. Nun and Long Xiang Tian nodded and left the palace. At the same time, they left this universe in an instant. The universe of the eternal continent could not bind them at all. They stood in the boundless void, looking at the human world. Right now, the human world was already a whole made up of countless universes. It was like a wonderful bubble. Many bubbles represented universes. Among them, there were big bubbles and small bubbles. Then, between the bubbles was the crystal wall. If one didn't cultivate to the sky origin realm, or even the ancestor realm, it would be impossible to pass through these universes and the crystal wall. This is the entire human world. It's expanding at an extraordinary speed. Look, within the cosmos and within the cosmos there are many flashing dots. These flashing dots are constantly emitting energy, causing the cosmos to rapidly expand. As the number of flashing dots increases, the cosmos expansion speed also increases. Those flashing dots are the people who have successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Mr. Wu pointed at the interior of the human realm. However, at this rate of expansion, it will only end in destruction. The void is also limited. When the expansion of the human realm reaches the limit of the void, both sides will expand and eventually explode like bubbles. Everything will turn into nothingness. So, what we need to do now is to stop Gu Chencha's expansion. Long Xiang Tian asked. Yes, the purpose of my existence is to stop this from happening. The purpose of our existence is to restore everything to the void, to achieve the void, to maintain a balance between the heavens and the earth. Of course, Gu Chensha is the biggest unstable factor. He must be eliminated, completely eliminated. Only then can the heavens and the earth maintain a balance, and not be destroyed by the final destruction. Mr. Nun said, the human world can't expand anymore. If it does, everything will be destroyed. It's like a person who eats too much and dies from bloating. In the eyes of many, Gu Chunxia is a good thing. His philosophy is to let the world expand, not to absorb all the energy in the world. Actually, this is also a bad thing. Long Xiang Tian said, when things reach an extreme, they move in the opposite direction. The current Gu Chunxia has gone to the other extreme. In the previous world, even if an existence that could devour all things appeared and devoured everything in the world, it was actually a process of energy compression. When the energy compression reached its limit, it would produce a big explosion and turn into all things in the world again. This cycle of destruction and rebirth, the energy of the world is conserved and fixed. But since Gu Taxian appeared out of nowhere, it caused the energy to lose its balance. However, the heavenly Tao could still suppress it. But then Gu Chunxia appeared, and this person became even worse. He created the Dragonless Heart Sutra, turning everyone into something other than energy, causing the current world to be very unstable. Don't look at how the world is getting bigger and bigger. It's becoming more and more prosperous. In fact, the universe is in a dangerous situation, and it could be destroyed at any time. This kind of destruction is true destruction. Mr. Wu Wu said, however, I do have a plan now. As long as we kill Gu Chunxia first, then kill those who have cultivated the dragonless mental cultivation technique, we'll be able to restore order to the universe and walk the right path. Disciple simply has a deep hatred for Gu Chunxia. Anyway, as long as I can kill Gu Chunxia, Disciple will not object. Disciple just wants to kill Gu Chunxia, destroy everything of him. Long Xiang Tian said, moreover, I don't want Gu Chunxia to die so quickly. He turned Fa Wuxian into a dog and humiliated him. I will turn him into a dog in the future. As for Fa Wuxian, you can use a plan, Mr. Nun said. Mr. Wu Wu said, he was also nurtured by me. Although he was captured by Gu Chunxia and turned into a dog, he didn't lose any of his strength. Instead, the hatred in his heart will only grow stronger and stronger, and his power will be stimulated. With just a little bit of catalysis, his cultivation base will reach the heavenly Tao realm, and he might even be close to the undying realm. At that time, his seal and imprisonment will be broken, and he will be able to release his hatred towards Gu Chenchia's subordinate. Teacher, disciple will handle this matter. Long Xiang Tian rubbed his palms. As long as it was something to deal with Gu Chunxia, he would be happy to do it. His hatred for Gu Chunxia was only second to Fa Wuxian. But teacher, I think that Long Zai Tian is also using us. He will soon harvest the heavenly Tao and become a heavenly Tao realm expert, which will hinder our plan. Long Zai Tian is not a problem. Mr. Nun waved his hand. I can kill him with a snap of my fingers. However, he is still useful. In fact, he is the son of heavenly Tao that was born in the eternal continent. If we can reform him, change him, and make him hate Gu Chunxia to the bone, then cause a storm in the universe, spreading our theory of the balance of the universe, and refuting Gu Chenchia's fallacies, that will be our greatest victory. However, if he is stubborn, I can only do more to kill him. Then, I will choose another son of heavenly Tao. Let's go to the next universe and change the son of heavenly Tao. Long Xiang Tian knew what Mr. Nun wanted to do. Whoosh! The two of them disappeared and went to another universe. Mr. Nun, interesting. There seems to be a change. A part of that terrifying thing that was born has split into Mr. Nun. Gu Chunxia had everything under control. However, he didn't follow Mr. Nun's footsteps to capture him. Instead, he appeared beside Long Zai Tian. Long Zai Tian was in the midst of contemplating how to harvest the heavenly energy in this place when a person suddenly appeared beside him. Immediately, he jumped in fright and immediately wanted to attack Gu Chunxia. Unfortunately, Gu Chunxia waved his hand and he couldn't move at all. The son of heavenly Tao of the eternal continent, the person who came into being at the right time, the Emperor of the Empire, Long Zai Tian. I am Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha revealed his identity. Long Zai Tian was so frightened that his entire body began to tremble. You are the creator of all things, the Lord of all things, the source of all things, the source of all wisdom, the ultimate form of everything, the ancient dust sand. Chapter 1031. Mr. Wuxin Gu Qinsha, my every move is under your control? Emperor Long Zai Tian was terrified. He was the emperor of Dragon Sky Dynasty, and he was going to unify the entire universe. All the sects, races, countries, and spaces in the eternal continent were going to be under his rule. He was even planning to harvest the power of heavenly Tao. Once he succeeded, he would become an expert of heavenly Tao realm, and he would have absolute control over this universe. It could be said that his current strength even surpassed that of Emperor Heaven Realm, who was born in Endless Land. However, he was still very weak in front of Gu Qinsha. He could clearly feel that Gu Qinsha could reduce him to an ordinary person at any time, or turn him into a beast or even elixir. Gu Qinsha's ferocious might had spread across all the universes. An expert like Emperor Long Zai Tian naturally knew about it. Tell me, what are you going to do? Gu Qinsha did not want to waste time with Long Zai Tian. Long Zai Tian did not cultivate the dragonless mantra. He was not originally a person who was condensed by the fate energy of this universe. It was just that Mr. Wu and Long Xiangtian entered this universe to make arrangements, causing the fate energy of the universe to gather on Long Zai Tian. Long Zai Tian was able to enjoy his current position. Logically, the child of fate of eternal land, the child of heavenly Tao, should belong to the person who cultivated the dragonless mantra, not someone like Long Zai Tian who only knew how to plunder and did not contribute anything to the universe. Actually, this was also Mr. Wu's plan. Mr. Wu's actions were to completely destroy Gu Qinsha's plan and reduce the number of people who cultivated the dragonless mantra. From Mr. Wu's point of view, the people who cultivated the dragonless mantra were actually breaking the law of conservation of energy. In the future world, it would completely cause the whole world to collapse. In the end, everything would be irreversible. All karma, fate, space-time and matter would be pulled into an invisible abyss. I am willing to listen to your arrangements. After thinking for a while, Long Zai Tian could only lower his head. He knew that if he didn't lower his head, he would immediately die. He would lose everything, and he would be in a state where he couldn't even beg for death. Very good. In that case, you should now cultivate the dragonless cultivation technique and create a new world. Return the things that you stole from the world in the past. Everyone's cultivation base should belong to themselves. You should not absorb the cultivation base of others. Gu Qinsha patted Long Zai Tian's head. Dragonless Heart Sutra, comprehend the ages, abandon everything, start all over again. Buzz 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 buzz. In an instant, all of Long Zai Tian's cultivation base dissipated. His cultivation base had already reached the ancestor realm. How vast was the ancestor realm? It was the 8th level of the immortal realm, the immortal realm. All of these dissipated cultivation bases fused into the eternal mainland. Instantly, there were many fundamental changes occurring in the depths of the eternal mainland. Countless miraculous encounters were gradually born, and many ordinary people had obtained tremendous miraculous encounters. This was just like the endless mainland's miraculous encounter blowout back then. There were countless heroes, ambitious and powerful figures that were born at this moment. As for Long Zai Tian, who had dissipated his cultivation base, he was just an ordinary person who had lost all of his powers. He was extremely fearful, but there was nothing he could do about it. At this moment, Gu Qinsha pointed out once more. All of the profoundness of the Dragonless Heart Sutra were transmitted into the depths of his mind. It was as though a small hole had been opened up within Long Zai Tian's heart as a massive amount of power gushed out, filling the entire surroundings with a dense spirit qi. But just at this moment, a black light shone out from the depths of his heart. The heart that had just been opened up was sealed up once more. Huh! Gu Chencha's face changed slightly before he laughed out. Good fella, that Mr. Wu Wu is powerful indeed. To think that he would use a seal to seal the heart of a person, such that it would be impossible for a person to give birth to a mighty spirit power. That's the true meaning of preventing anyone from cultivating the Dragonless Heart Sutra. That's truly vicious indeed. He knew that this Mr. Wu Wu had also cultivated level 9 of the Undying Realm. Although he could undo the seal that he had laid down, the moment he did so, he would definitely be detected by this man. Once he reached level 9 of the Undying Realm, he would have the qualifications to stand on equal footing with Gu Chensha. My greatest enemy is this man. He has yet to fully emerge into the world. Once he does, it won't be an easy task for me to kill him. Let's start plotting now. Since you want to seal him, I'll not destroy this seal then. I'll make a detour. The mighty spirit power of a living being has to awaken eventually. Even if I seal him, it won't be of any use. Gu Chensha tapped once more and another hole appeared. He bypassed the seal and allowed Long Zai Tian to cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Long Zai Tian, now that you have cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, what do you think? Gu Chensha asked. This is just too magical. Long Zai Tian's current cultivation was only at Dao Realm 19 Transformation, Size Manipulation Realm, but his body felt really comfortable. The feeling in his heart far exceeded that of when he was at Ancestor Realm. This feeling is like coming out from a family with many restrictions and finally obtaining the aura of freedom. Although in that family there were all sorts of rules and restrictions. Now that I have finally left the family, although I have to eat simple food and drink, I can do whatever I want. I have broken out of the cage and am truly free. How comfortable is this transcendence? Long Zai Tian was really happy. Actually, those who cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra would all feel this kind of happiness. That was the feeling of being completely free and not having to rely on others. Indeed, after cultivating the Dragonless Heart Sutra, one didn't need to rely on others and didn't need to rely on the world of karma and fate. Everything was self-sufficient and all the energy came from the depths of one's heart. This kind of carefree and comfortable feeling was definitely not something that could be described with words. You have successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, and it was all because of my assistance. But it doesn't matter, the Dragonless Heart Sutra is just a key to open the door in the depths of your heart, allowing the mighty and boundless energy to gush out and manifest itself in this world. Gu Chensha nodded. Next, you have to cultivate bitterly, and one day, you will be able to completely break the seal and refine the energy that Mr. Wu Wu left in your body. From there, you will be free from his restraints. At that time, you will truly be free. Next, you will truly receive the care of the entire Heaven Dao world. Gu Chencha's body moved and he warned Long Zai Tian. Then, he disappeared and left the universe of Eternal Continent. The moment he left the Eternal Continent, Long Zai Tian's cultivation broke through once more. Celestial energy appeared around his body. He had reached the 20th transformation of the Dao realm. The heavenly Dao also changed and resonated with Long Zai Tian. Gu Chensha was setting up a trap. If Long Zai Tian broke the seal, it would mean that Mr. Wu Wu's plan had completely failed. At that time, Mr. Wu Wu would suffer a huge loss. This was a loss of principles. At that time, Gu Chensha wouldn't have to waste any energy to seal Mr. Wu Wu. Moreover, Gu Chensha could even enlighten Mr. Wu Wu and make him believe in his Dragonless Heart Sutra. The Dragonless Heart Sutra is really profound. After Gu Chensha left, Long Zai Tian continued to improve. In just a short while, He had actually merged with the Heaven Tao and reached the Celestial Lord realm. However, at that moment, another person suddenly appeared beside him. This person was wearing a black cloak, and his entire body was covered in the cloak. There was only a black aura supporting the cloak. It was as if this person did not exist. Mr. Wu Wu. Long Zai Tian was shocked and his body started to tremble. Gu Chunsha had just left and now Mr. Wu Wu had returned. This definitely wasn't a good thing. I am not Mr. Wu Wu, I am Mr. Wu Xian. The black-cloaked person said in a cold voice. However, Mr. Wu Wu being with me is not bad. You actually dared to betray us. What punishment do you deserve? I. Suddenly, Long Zai Tian became unyielding. I don't care if you are Mr. Wu Wu or Mr. Wu Xian. In reality, you are both traitors. Right now, the only master in the universe is Gu Chunsha. Gu Chensha's Dragonless Heart Sutra has created a whole new era. Your fallacious reasoning could deceive me in the past, but now that I have cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, I know how carefree it is. That is true freedom, the liberation of great freedom, and it is eternal. So, if you still want to tempt me, that's absolutely impossible. In that case, I can only destroy you and create a new emperor to carry out our ideals in the eternal continent. Mr. Wu Xian shook his head and suddenly extended his hand. Bang! Without any suspense, Long Zai Tian exploded into dust in the blink of an eye. Everything was destroyed. Not a single trace of his existence remained in this world. This was Mr. Wu Xian's power. Then, Mr. Wu Xian's body transformed into Long Zai Tian, and he began to call his subordinate. Your Majesty, what's the matter? A few subordinates entered. What are your orders? Pass down my order. Begin the grand plan to conquer the universe. The eternal continent will soon be in my hands. Apart from this, I have created a mental cultivation method called the Heartless Heart Sutra. Spread this mental cultivation method for everyone to cultivate. Anyone who does not cultivate this mental cultivation method must die, and their bodies will be destroyed. Also, go and find out who cultivates the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Capture them and bring them to the palace. I have a use for them. Long Zai Tian, who was Mr. Wu Xian's emperor form, said, Of course, you might not have enough strength to handle this matter. I will increase your strength now. As he spoke, Mr. Wu Xian's hands moved. Instantly, the hearts of these subordinates disappeared and were replaced by pitch-black black holes. These black holes continuously absorbed everything, including the source of time, space, karma, fate, and everything else. Chapter 1032. Malignant tumors everywhere. Not good. Long Zai Tian has been murdered. The moment Long Zai Tian was killed by Mr. Wuxin, Gu Chunsha had already received the news. He immediately sensed it and his body stopped shuttling through the countless universes. I didn't expect there to be another Mr. Wuxin besides Mr. Wuxin. I didn't expect that there would be another Mr. Wuxin besides Mr. Wu. If that's the case, then Mr. Wu would also appear. These are all signs of the birth of that terrifying thing. That terrifying thing is smart and has split into many individuals, stirring up chaos in the universe. It seems like I've miscalculated. Not bad, not bad. I've started to miscalculate. This means that the real battle is about to come. Gu Chunsha didn't feel depressed because of his miscalculation. Ever since he had achieved great success in his cultivation, he had never miscalculated his fate. Everything was in perfect order, and everything in the future would change according to his will. But now, he finally couldn't control the situation. This was a good thing. If everything was in his control, then it would be meaningless. The counterattack of the old world eventually gave birth to Mr. Wuxin and Mr. Wuxin. They were all the same person, the embodiment of that terrible thing. In the end, these existences would gather and become that terrible thing to fight it out with Gu Chunsha. Mr. Wuxin managed this universe of the eternal continent, but he killed Long Zai Tian and spread his Wuxin cultivation method. Then, he killed those who cultivated the dragonless cultivation method. Since that's the case, I won't be polite. Originally, I was afraid of fighting with you and destroying many universes. But now, it seems that my thinking was wrong. To destroy you, I'll have to strike like lightning. Gu Chencha's expression turned solemn. Suddenly, he stretched out his palm. Rumble! The moment he stretched out his palm, the entire eternal continent disappeared. This was a huge universe with countless spaces, mountains, rivers, oceans, planets, sun, moon, sects, empires. Everything was rapidly evolving in the universe of the eternal continent. But after being grabbed by Gu Chensha, this universe disappeared completely. Then, this universe appeared above Gu Chencha's palm and shrank to the size of an egg. It was imprisoned by the square-shaped seal. In the depths of the universe, a black-cloaked person appeared. It was Mr. Wuxin. He was extremely flustered as he flew everywhere in the universe, but he couldn't fly out at all. Gu Chensha sealed the entire universe, turning it into a cage that sealed Mr. Wuxin within. Gu Chensha, you're ruthless. Mr. Wuxin let out an angry roar, bursting out waves of power. Instantly, it was unknown how many living beings in the universe of Eternal Continent were annihilated. The entire universe was filled with disasters. Gu Chensha knew that it wasn't easy for this Eternal Continent's universe to be born. It had nurtured countless spirits, geniuses, stories, and civilizations. Every living being had their own stories and independent thoughts. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want Mr. Wuxin and the others to destroy this precious universe. In his heart, every universe, every continent, every space, every existence, even if it was a plant or a living being, was valuable and extremely precious. But now, he had no other choice. If he allowed Mr. Wuxin to occupy this universe and transform it into a universe that only knew how to devour, it would become a malignant tumor that would pollute the countless universes in the human world. This kind of thought would spread like a plague, and the losses would be even greater. His plan might go back 1,000 years and return to the past. Therefore, he had to sacrifice this universe to prevent it from becoming a malignant tumor and polluting even more. Mr. Wuxin was imprisoned, and his power began to erupt in this Eternal Continent's universe. In an instant, the entire universe encountered a true calamity. Mr. Wuxin, you destroyed this universe, but the price you paid was greater than mine. I only lost a universe, but you lost everything. Gu Chensha grabbed, and instantly, an endless amount of power was injected into this destroyed universe, forming shackles of order that locked Mr. Wuxin tightly. In the end, Mr. Wuxin couldn't move. Gu Chensha, you bastard, I won't let you off. Mr. Wuxin started to shout, but then he calmed down. Even if you seal me, you can't kill me. You are at the 9th level of the Undying Realm, and so am I. Our realms are the same, reaching the Undying Realm. You should know that this realm is truly undying. After temporarily sealing me, I will still come out. Is that so? Gu Chensha shook his head. Wait until the Dragonless Heart Sutra spreads to every corner of the universe. When all living beings have successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, you will naturally disappear without a trace. Actually, such a thing isn't far away. Mr. Wu Wu created Long Zai Tian. Unfortunately, after Long Zai Tian cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, he abandoned all of you. You had no choice but to kill him. But since things have reached this point, it means that you have completely failed. Gu Chensha, saying this is useless. You can no longer control the entire human world. At this moment, a person appeared behind Gu Chensha. This person was wearing a black cloak, and there was nothing under the cloak. It was Mr. Wu Wu. Mr. Wu Wu suddenly appeared behind Gu Chensha and struck out with his palm. Rumble! His palms kept changing, converging into a black current. He was actually at the 9th level of the immortal realm. This power started to seep into Gu Chencha's body, destroying him. A hideous smile appeared on his face. Gu Chensha, I'm already born. Our powers are the same. However, I created you, so in the end, you will have to return to your original body. My body contains all the power of your father, Gu Tianxian. You are no match for me. I will restrain you and make you return to my body to be absorbed. Woo woo woo. A huge whirlpool appeared in Mr. Wu Wu's body, and it started to absorb the undying power in Gu Chencha's body. Is that all you've got? Gu Chensha said with a chuckle. His body transformed into countless universes for Mr. Wu Wu to absorb. In the blink of an eye, countless universes were sucked into Mr. Incorruptible's body. Mr. Incorruptible's face fell. In the blink of an eye, his body grew so fat that it seemed like he was about to explode. Didn't you say that the dragonless mental dharma could cause the void to explode? Well, it doesn't really matter. Let's see, Mr. Wu Wu. You're an annulled expert. Do you think you can cause me to explode? Gu Chensha continued to pour power into Mr. Wu Wu. Mr. Wu Wu's face fell. His sneak attack on Gu Chensha had failed, and in fact, he was being attacked by Gu Chensha. He wanted to absorb Gu Chencha's power, but Gu Chensha just let him. Rumble! All of a sudden, Mr. Wu Wu exploded from Gu Chencha's power, transforming into black smoke. Seal! Gu Chensha waved his hand and the Eternal Continents universe in his hand sealed Mr. Incorporeal once again. This time, there were two people in black cloaks in the Eternal Continents universe, Mr. Incorporeal and Mr. Heartless. Combine. Mr. Wuxin and Mr. Wuxin, who had been sealed inside the Eternal Continents universe, fused together into something even more powerful. It was almost like the Emperor of Heaven and the fourth Gu Huasha had fused together. In the blink of an eye, they were dozens of times stronger than before. The moment they fused, the entire Eternal Continents universe exploded. Vital energy scattered everywhere. All living beings in this universe, everything turned into nothingness. Many of those who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra died as well. The universe exploded, and Gu Chencha's seal was destroyed. Mr. Wuxin and Mr. Wu Wu were freed once again, but they had used up a lot of their power. They split into two and fled into the depths of the mortal world. Gu Chensha, you're really powerful. The two of us worked together and used up a lot of vital energy to escape from your seal. However, you won't be able to jump around for long. Apart from Mr. Wuxin and Mr. Wuxin, there are many other existences who have descended into the mortal world. When that time comes, your backyard will be on fire. Let's see what you can do. Gu Chensha used his power to capture them, but they had already disappeared. It seemed like they had used some secret technique to escape from Gu Chencha's control. As expected of the peerless power. For now I have no way to destroy it. Gu Chensha did not chase after the two of them. With his strength, he could suppress the two of them again. However, in the process of chasing after them, it was not as simple as destroying a universe the size of an eternal continent, but a small half of the human world. The 9th level of the Undying Realm was completely different from the Heavenly Daos. It was a power that surpassed the Heavenly Daos. It could be described as incomprehensible, inconceivable, and indescribable. The power of this realm, even the tiniest bit, could cause destruction to all things in the myriad worlds. In the past, Heavenly Talisman Emperor hadn't reached this level. However, Heavenly Talisman Emperor had fused with the Heavenly Daos, and after a long time of brewing, he had finally given birth to this terrifying thing, the Peerless Realm. Gu Chensha finally knew how Heavenly Talisman Emperor Gu Taxian was born. He was born from the world's unseen forces, something to destroy the old and establish the new. Chapter 1033. Mr. Wu his dragonless heart art was to create something from nothing, completely breaking the law of conservation of energy. It was a power that didn't exist in this world, yet it existed in everyone's heart. However, where did everyone's spirit force come from? This was a mystery. Only when Gu Chunsha reached the 9th level of the immortal realm would he be able to truly comprehend it. This terrifying thing was divided into Mr. Wu, Mr. Wuxin, and the others. It was stirring up chaos everywhere and hiding in the depths of the universe. It had long since become unpredictable and chaotic. Gu Chunsha could not do anything about it for now. He could only make arrangements and slowly shrink the net. Only when he included all of these people would he be able to catch them all in one fell swoop. Apart from Mr. Wu, Mr. Wuxin, and the others, there will be others among them. Gu Chensha's expression was solemn as he continuously calculated. So that's how it is. As he calculated, Gu Chensha looked at the endless depths of the void and saw a shrinking black air current. This black air current was the true form of that terrifying thing. It had also given birth to Mr. Wu, Mr. Wuxin's true form, and it was continuously increasing in power. Its source of power was the hearts of all living beings in the world. In the hearts of all living beings, it was the heart of plundering and conservatism. Although many people in the world had successfully cultivated the dragonless mental technique, some people's hearts had not been able to change. For example, the 4th Gu Huasha, although he had successfully cultivated the dragonless mental technique, deep in his heart, when he encountered a treasure that would be of great benefit to him, his first thought was to plunder it to increase his cultivation. Gu Chunsha had turned the Emperor of Heaven into a medicinal pill. The 4th Gu Huasha's instinctive thought was to plunder and consume it to increase his cultivation. This was an instinctive thought of plundering deep in his heart, and it was completely different from the thought of the dragonless mental technique. The thought of the dragonless mental technique should be to immediately export it to the world and create the same medicinal pill. That way, his cultivation would increase. As long as the thoughts and instincts in his heart did not change, this instinct to plunder would be the concept of the old world. This concept was the source of that terrifying thing's power. In other words, when Gu Chunsha was increasing his own cultivation, that terrifying thing was also increasing its cultivation, and it might even be increasing more than Gu Chunsha. Because in the entire human world and the countless universes, the desire of all living beings to plunder surpassed the desire to contribute. Deep in everyone's instincts, when they encountered something good, their first thought was to obtain it. This kind of intention helped to increase the power of this terrifying thing. Gu Chensha's ultimate goal was to completely eliminate the desire to plunder from all living beings in the world, and turn them into people of dedication and creation. This was the thought in everyone's mind. I am the creator of all living beings. I don't need all living beings to do anything for me. I am the creator of all living beings, not the other way around. All living beings are useless to me. If this kind of thinking was successfully implanted in everyone's mind, then it would be a success. That terrifying thing would no longer have a source of power and would gradually wither away. The old world's concept and will was that the moment every living being was born, their instinctive will was to eat, grow, and strengthen. This was the instinct to plunder. And in the new world created by Gu Chunsha, the first thought of all living beings was to give something to the world, because this was the only reasonable thing to do. For example, a person who had just entered someone else's house and wanted to stay there, of course, he had to pay rent. This was the concept of the new world, and the old world's concept was that when a person entered someone else's house, not only did he not pay rent, but he also wanted to plunder the house's resources and force the landlord to give him money. What Gu Chunsha wanted to change and create was so great. He wanted to change the mindset of all living beings. This was something that no civilization, no great person, and no world had ever been able to do. No one had even thought of this. Because people were born, they had to eat and absorb energy from the outside world in order to survive. Even the heavenly talisman Great Emperor Gu Taxian couldn't do what Gu Qinsha did. Because Gu Taxian didn't create the Dragonless Heart Sutra. The birth of Gu Taxian was actually the beginning of a new world in the universe. After this enlightenment, Gu Qinsha was born, and he completely embodied the concept of the new world. In actuality, Gu Taxian was quite confused and didn't know what was going on in the new world. Just like a historical rebel, he instinctively rebelled because he couldn't survive anymore, but Gu Qinsha didn't. Gu Qinsha created his own principles and carried them out in an orderly manner. From a certain perspective, it could be said that Gu Qinsha was the founding ancestor. Gu Qinsha thought to himself. His thoughts became clearer and clearer, and so did his understanding of the changes to the universe. He knew that the arrival of the new world was unstoppable, but because of this, the counterattack of the old world was becoming more and more intense. Just wait! Gu Qinsha's cultivation seemed to have improved again. While Gu Qinsha was fighting Mr. Wu Wu and Mr. Wu Xian in the great Yonko's palace's beast pen, two dogs were locked together. To be precise, it was the great spirit god and Fa Wuxian who had turned into dogs. At this time, Fa Wuxian's face was filled with hatred for heaven, earth, all living things, and everything. Next to him, the great spirit god was thinking about something. The great spirit god also had a human head and a dog's body. The great spirit god, as long as I have the chance, I will definitely make you wish you were dead, Fa Wuxian suddenly said. Even if I tear you into 1,000 pieces, it will not dispel the hatred in my heart. Fa Wuxian, I do not want to humiliate you, but Gu Qinsha turned me into this. What can I do? The great spirit god said, if you want to hate someone, you should hate Gu Qinsha. Don't hate me here. In any case, you are dead. Fa Wuxian roared again, no, I will not let you die. I will inflict the pain I have suffered on you 1,000 times over. Of course, the same goes for Gu Qinsha. Forget it. If you behave yourself, you can suffer less. The great spirit god said mockingly, now we have turned into dogs, but we still have our strength. I heard that the Emperor of Heaven is even worse off. He has actually turned into a pill. The great spirit god, you animal. Fa Wuxian did not want to say anything to the great spirit god. Fa Wuxian, do you want revenge? At that moment, a voice rang out beside Fa Wuxian. A person appeared in the pen. This person was wearing a black cloak. The cloak did not seem to have a physical body. Who are you? Fa Wuxian was shocked. He looked around and found that the guards outside the pen did not see this person at all. It was as if they could not see this person in the black cloak at all. I am Mr. Wu Wei, the person in the black cloak said. The black-cloaked man said, I'm here to save you. You once made a wish to me, so I increased your strength. Have you forgotten? You. Fa Wuxian's expression was one of extreme shock. Then, he became ecstatic. You are that terrifying. All right, it is good that you know. The black-cloaked Mr. Wu Wei suddenly pointed and immediately injected his power into Fa Wuxian's body. Kacha kacha. Fa Wuxian turned into a human and was no longer a dog. Mr. Wu Wei transformed the great spirit god again. Kill! Without the shackles, Fa Wuxian tried to kill the great spirit god, but Mr. Wu Wei stopped him. The great spirit god is still useful. You can't kill him. Also, you can't kill here. If you kill, I am afraid that when Gu Qinsha returns, we will not be able to leave. Whoosh! As he spoke, Mr. Wu Wei grabbed the great spirit god and Fa Wuxian and disappeared. After they disappeared, everything returned to normal. The people guarding the animal pen suddenly realized that the two dogs had disappeared. They were shocked and immediately issued an alarm. Suddenly, the alarm spread throughout the entire palace. Lu Baiwei arrived immediately. When she saw the empty beast pen, her expression changed. At the same time, in a faraway place, the fourth was cultivating. He was thinking about how to seize the pill. Only by obtaining the pill that transformed the Emperor of Heaven can I be complete and become a powerful existence. I will have the opportunity to comprehend the supreme immortal realm. Once I comprehend the supreme immortal realm, I will be able to keep pace with Gu Qinsha and will no longer be inferior to him. I will be able to create my own situation. The fourth Gu Huasha also had countless ambitions. He would never be willing to be inferior to Gu Qinsha. At this moment, another man in a black cloak appeared in front of him. Who is it? The fourth was alert. Don't be afraid. I'm Mr. Thoughtless. The black-cloaked Mr. Thoughtless spoke. Do you want to cultivate to the supreme immortal realm? Actually, it's not impossible. As long as you agree to join forces with us, we will thoroughly defeat Gu Qinsha and reduce him to the lowest existence. Then, we will kill him and completely erase his ideals. All right, I agree, the fourth Gu Huasha said. But you have to help me obtain the pill. The pill is here. Mr. Thoughtless took out the pill that transformed the Emperor of Heaven. When Gu Qinsha went after Mr. Thoughtless, Mr. Wuwei and I rescued Fa Wuxian and the Great Spirit God. At the same time, I stole this pill. I'll give it to you now. Is that so? The fourth Gu Huasha was overjoyed. Then I'll completely surrender to you. But will I really be able to reach the supreme immortal realm? Of course. You and Fa Wuxian will both be able to reach the supreme immortal realm. That's because the two of you occupy the word Wu. From now on, you will be known as Mr. Nihility Ancestor, and Fa Wuxian will be known as Mr. Wuxian, just like us. Of course, it won't be easy to reach the supreme immortal realm. You'll have to prepare a lot. Chapter 1034. Shin Tendo. I didn't expect that the fact that I call myself the Nihility Ancestor actually corresponds to some kind of destiny. The fourth Gu Huasha was secretly happy. From now on, I will call myself Mr. Nihility Ancestor. Just like Mr. Wuxiang, I will definitely cultivate to the 9th level of Immortal Realm. Once I reach this realm, Gu Qinsha won't be able to do anything to me. In that case, swallow this pill. Mr. Thoughtless handed the pill that transformed the Emperor of Heaven to the fourth Gu Huasha. The fourth accepted it and sent some of his power into it. After inspecting it, he found that there was nothing wrong with the medicinal pill. It was indeed the Emperor of Heaven. The medicinal pill contained the aura of the Emperor of Heaven, which he was very familiar with. It was connected to his life force, so there was no mistaking it. Then, after confirming that there was nothing wrong with this pill, the fourth wrapped the pill with his own powers and began to cultivate it. Rumble! A huge amount of power was immediately released and perfectly fused with him. Immediately, the fourth Gu Huasha's power rose steadily. In an instant, his power seemed to have increased by tens of times, and it was still increasing. Woo 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 woo. The sound of ghosts crying and gods howling came from Gu Huasha's body. A black airflow rose densely from Gu Huasha's body. This black airflow eventually turned into a cloak, covering him tightly. At the same time, his body started to turn invisible, as if he really had the aura of a level 9 Immortal Realm expert. Excellent. Excellent, Gu Huasha. You might not have reached the deathless level, but you've gained some of its aura. With that, none of the ancestors in heaven and earth will be able to do anything to you. You're the true first ancestor, and given enough time, you'll definitely reach the deathless level. Mr. Thoughtless laughed. Emperor of Heaven, I've finally devoured you. Gu Huasha felt that his fate had been freed. His eyes flashed and he saw that in the river of fate, the two-headed dragon that represented his and the Emperor of Heaven's fate had eaten the other head. Then, the dragon became only one head, and its body became 100 times bigger. It started to bare its fangs and claws, wanting to break through the realm and jump out of the river of fate. Within the river of fate, the terrifying spherical thing, which had been made up of eyeballs and tentacles, had disappeared. Clearly, it had escaped the restraints of the river of fate. The current river of fate was created by Gu Chunsha. After Gu Chunsha created it, it bound everything and made everything follow his path. However, that terrifying thing's fate energy had actually broken through the shackles of fate. In the river of fate created by Gu Dusha, there was no longer any trace of it. In other words, this terrifying thing was comparable to Gu Dusha. Henceforth, the world would be split in two. Gu Huasha was convinced that he needed to reach the deathless level in order to achieve incredible things in the future. It would be best if Gu Chunsha and the thing died together, and he absorbed all of its power. That way, he would be able to control everything in heaven and earth, and create anything he wanted. The fourth was a very ambitious person. By this time, Gu Chunsha had returned to the imperial palace, a medicinal pill in his hand. Below him were Lu Baiwei and the others. "Your Majesty," Wen Hong said, "I never would have guessed that the terrifying thing would come out. The fourth betrayed us, and Fa Wuxian and the Great Spirit God were both rescued by it. What should we do now?" "There's no need to worry about the fourth. The medicinal pill he ate was a fake, created by me. I used a boundless divine ability to create a medicinal pill. After the fourth consumes it, the effect will be exactly the same as the medicinal pill created by the Emperor of Heaven. However, in the future, he will follow the path of the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Instead of devouring, he will create, give, and offer. In the end, he will deal a fatal blow to the terrifying thing." Gu Chunsha still had the Emperor of Heaven medicinal pill in his hand. The pill that Mr. Wuxiang had stolen was a fake medicinal pill. During this period of time, Mr. Wuxiang and the others had appeared and gained the upper hand. However, Gu Chunsha wasn't someone to be trifled with. He immediately set up a trap, tricking the fourth, Gu Huasha. Now, as long as the fourth, Gu Huasha, cultivated to the 9th level of the Tao of Immortality, he would be able to deal devastating damage to Mr. Wuxiang and the others. As for Fa Wuxian and the mighty miracle god, they were actually part of my plan. Fa Wuxian had long been in cahoots with that frightening thing. The reason why I didn't kill him, and instead turned him into a dog, was actually to stimulate the overwhelming hatred in the depths of his heart. When his hatred reached its peak, it would spurt out and tear apart everything around him that could be torn apart. Naturally, that frightening thing would be the first to bear the brunt of it. Apart from that, I also set up something important in Fa Wuxian's heart. I'm going to make Mr. Wuxiang, Mr. Wuxin, Mr. Wuwei, and Mr. Wuxiang suffer the consequences of their actions. Gu Chunsha said confidently. These people thought that after they were born, they gained the upper hand after a series of events. Little did they know they fell into my trap step by step. "Oh right, how's the universe you've created? The most important thing now is to channel energy into the human world to expand it. At the same time, you can cultivate to the heavenly Tao realm. If you don't, I'm afraid it'll be extremely difficult in the future." Up until now, Lu Baiwei, Wen Hong, and the others hadn't advanced to the heavenly Tao realm. From this, it could be seen how difficult it was to reach the heavenly Tao realm. Currently, only Zhao Jiangshan, Fa Wuxian, the fourth, and Zhang Ziren had advanced to the heavenly Tao realm. Although the Emperor of Heaven had reached the heavenly Tao realm before, he was now a medicinal pill. We've been painstakingly creating the universe these days. It won't be long before we reach the heavenly Tao realm. Lu Baiwei said. "If that's the case, let's start now." Gu Chunsha said. "Everyone gather together. The more people in the heavenly Tao realm, the more we can create a formation to fight against Mr. Wuwu and the others. They've reached the 9th level of the undying realm. With your current strength, you're no match for them. I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to take care of them. In the future, when the war starts, the world will be completely destroyed. You must have the ability to protect yourselves. Then let's begin. At this time, Lu Baiwei, Wenhong, Zhuge martial sage, Chang Weiyang, little godson, Jin Suebua, longevity god, Long Yun, Long Zifei, Chang Yuzhou, Yuhuan Lu, Lu Yu, Qianzhen, Zhoubu, Jiaoliang, Mo Chao, Lord Tai, Tai Xuandu, Tai Mingdi, Luo Wu, and the other direct descendants had all gathered together. There were hundreds of them. These direct descendants had followed Gu Chernsha through wind and rain, from the Central Plains Divine Prefecture to where they were now. They had contributed greatly and worked hard. This time, they were truly united, ready to advance and retreat together, sharing honor and disgrace. Because a terrifying thing had appeared. If they succeeded, it would be the dawn of a new era. If they failed, then everyone would be annihilated, or suffer a fate worse than death. A new universe was slowly being born. Gu Chensha's core members had all successfully cultivated the dragonless heart art. They could constantly send out their spirit force, and at this time, an enormous amount of power gathered into a brand new universe. This universe instantly became enormous. Countless living beings, kingdoms, dimensions, suns, moons, and stars, powerful existences, spiritual energy, immortal chi, primal chaos chi, and even deathless substances were born. Next, the universe continued to expand, and the core members grew increasingly powerful. In the end, the universe naturally gave birth to the power of the heavenly Tao. There were even some divine ability experts who, under the guidance of others, began to cultivate the dragonless heart art. This universe was very pure, without any impurities. The people born in this universe had no thoughts of devouring. Instead, as soon as any living being was born, they would begin to use their spirit force to create this universe. Logically speaking, a universe like this shouldn't exist. When a universe was first born, the living beings within it would need to absorb the power of the universe and gain enlightenment, cultivating the dragonless heart art. But now, as soon as the living beings in this universe were born, they began to offer their spirit force. This was the embryonic form of a brand new world. Rumble. As the universe grew larger and larger, the number of living beings in it increased. All of them cultivated the dragonless heart art and offered their spirit force to the universe, creating numerous treasures. The rich spiritual chi of the world caused the myriad of living beings to flourish. Heavenly Tao energy gushed forth from within. A white stream of energy suddenly gushed forth from the top of Lu Baiwei's head. This white stream of energy contained gold, black, and many other colors. In the end, it formed a flower. This flower was only about an acre in size, but it had countless petals. Each petal was in the shape of a heart, and countless heart-shaped runes circulated around it. It was like it was impervious to all evils, impenetrable by all arts, impenetrable by all tribulations, and indestructible by all lifetimes. Good, I've finally succeeded in cultivating the heavenly Tao realm. Gu Chensha laughed. This heavenly Tao energy is very pure, much purer than the heavenly Tao energy of Zhang Ziren and the others. This is because this is the new world's heavenly Tao, not the old world's heavenly Tao. The old world's heavenly Tao focuses on plundering, and the new world's heavenly Tao doesn't have any plundering. If you compare them, the old world's heavenly Tao is like rubble, and the new world's heavenly Tao is like white jade. It was the same heavenly Tao energy, but the heavenly Tao of every universe was different. Some heavenly Tao energy was small, some heavenly Tao energy was large, some pure, some impure. However, the heavenly Tao of this new world was completely different. What the heavenly Tao energy contained was creation, it was limitless. This power vibrated and transmitted to each other. Lu Baiwei was the first to succeed. Next, a flower appeared above Wenhong's head. The petals were all in the shape of a heart, and the runes were all in the shape of a heart. Chapter 1035. A Clash of the New and the Old. The universe created by Lu Baiwei, Wenhong, and Zhuge-ye was a completely new universe. It did not contain any impurities from the old world, so the heavenly Tao born in this new universe was a completely new heavenly Tao. The power of the new heavenly Tao was endless and inexhaustible. It was many times stronger than the old heavenly Tao. Soon after, Zhuge-ye also cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm, and the heavenly flower of the new world appeared above his head. The power of the heavenly flower gushed out, causing the entire old world to change. Then, Chang Weiyang, Chang Yuzhou, the martial sage, and Jin Suebua all cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm. Chang Weiyang was the famous sect master of the Black Cosmos Gate. She cultivated to the level of an anomaly and was extremely powerful. Even the Black Cosmos Gate of heaven and earth couldn't suppress her. She was much more senior than Gu Chensha. Her father, Chang Yuzhou, was also extremely powerful. He split from the Black Cosmos Gate and founded the Black Cosmos Gate. Of course, the martial sage was also famous. Jin Suebua was an elder of the everlasting celestial sect. After following Gu Chensha, he established the Celestial Tranquility Department. If it wasn't for Jin Suebua recruiting people everywhere, it would not have been so easy to establish the Celestial Tranquility Department. His contributions to the imperial court were even greater than those of Zhuge-ye. Inexorably, Jin Suebua's power also rose, and he cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm. Once this realm was achieved, he felt like he had completely broken away from the old world and entered a new world. He looked at everything in the world differently. At the same time, he looked at everything in the world as if they were in hell. They devoured and killed each other just to fight for some pitiful resources. These living beings were really too stupid. Deep in the hearts of all living beings, they clearly had an inexhaustible supply of treasures, but they just had to fight for useless dirt. This was like a rich man with tens of thousands of hectares of fertile land, tens of thousands of cattle and sheep, and countless gold, silver, and jewels, but he just had to fight with a beggar for a dirty bun. If this wasn't stupidity, what was? Therefore, he wanted to save all the pitiful beings in the world. The universe we've created will surpass the old universe sooner or later. We'll completely save the old universe and all living beings. Lu Baiwe said, however, Mr. Wu Wu and the others have appeared. They have the power of level 9, immortal realm. Although we have cultivated the new world's heavenly Tao, we are still no match for immortal realm experts. I feel that this new heavenly Tao can only last for a while before it is destroyed. That's why this new universe will be your base. If you can stay here and expand, then you will be able to hold out against the Undying for a long time. Gu Chensha continued, I need to plan this out properly. As he spoke, Gu Chensha began to ponder. Then, he injected his power into this new universe. This new universe gave birth to an unshakable and indestructible power. All living beings in the human world, as long as they cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra and give up on the karma of the old world, they must be guided into the new universe. You can go and do this now. With Mr. Wu Wu and the others stirring up trouble, the old world can no longer be changed. This is a good plan. We've created a new world. This world doesn't have a single trace of the old world. Lu Baiwe was the first to speak. In this way, we don't have to worry about Mr. Wu Wu and the others causing trouble. Moreover, as long as more and more people in the world cultivate the Dragonless Mantra, all of them will be brought into this new world. Over time, the old world will lose all ability to resist. That's the goal for now. Gu Chensha nodded, however, we can't completely give up on the old world. I need to make a plan to suppress Mr. Wu Wu. Oh right. At this time, when Hong asked a crucial question, actually, the focus of the entire world is whether or not you can suppress that terrifying thing. If you can suppress it, then our plan can be realized. Without that thing causing trouble, we can take our time. This was indeed the crux of the matter. I can suppress this group of people. This group of people is actually a source. Gu Chensha said, however, it will be at the cost of the entire universe and the void of the myriad worlds. Because in the process of suppressing it, it might destroy the karma of all living things, time and space, and even you all will cease to exist. Because at that time, everything will be completely destroyed, and even you all will not be able to revive. This price is too great, so I'm holding back. Another thing is that I can't completely destroy this group of people, I can only suppress them. This is because the birth of this group of people is not only the result of the combination of Father and the old world's heavenly Tao, but also the aggregation of the deepest thoughts of all living beings in the old world. As soon as the living beings in the old world are born, they will devour energy to strengthen themselves. This instinct is actually a kind of power in the depths of their hearts. It has gathered on that terrifying thing, which is why this terrifying thing is so powerful. There is only one way to completely destroy this terrifying thing, and that is for all living beings in the world to completely abandon the old world's thinking. Then I will have enough power to directly kill this terrifying thing and completely obliterate it, never to appear in this world again. So that's how it is. In that case, we can only take things slowly. We will rule the world and destroy the way of thinking of the old world. With that, everyone understood. Indeed, Mr. Wu Wu's power was quite powerful. At this stage, we should still implement the previous concept. Lu Baiwei replied, "Spread the Dragonless Heart Sutra as much as possible, then guide all those who have successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra into the new world. At the same time, use the new world as a fortress to defend against the invasion of Mr. No. Safety first. We need to ensure our own safety first," Zhuge said. "Mr. No and the others want to kill us or contaminate us, forcing us to return to the ideals and thinking of the old world. This is absolutely not allowed. Your safety is indeed the first priority." Gu Chensha's intention in creating the new universe was very clear. It was to protect the safety of these people. With the protection of the new universe, the chances of them being killed by Mr. No would be greatly reduced. Everyone in the new universe would gather and evolve into a brand new heavenly Tao. This heavenly Tao would gather to form a protective force that could prevent Mr. No and the others from infiltrating. Now, one could see with the naked eye that the new heavenly Tao in the new universe was boiling. As it boiled, it kept spreading outwards and even started to permeate into many universes in the human world. As long as it completely permeated the human world, any living being who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra would be able to ascend to the new universe with a single thought. That's right, it was ascension. Of course, during the ascension, someone would still be needed to guide them. From now on, other than spreading the Dragonless Heart Sutra, the great Yonko would also guide those who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra to the new universe. The more living beings there were, the stronger the power of the universe would be. Gu Chensha was advancing step by step. He didn't believe that this strategy of his wouldn't be able to kill Mr. No and the others. Take it slow, see who could last longer. However, Mr. No couldn't be underestimated. These people would also establish their own dynasties and spread the ideals of devour. They would thoroughly permeate the ideals of the old world into the instincts of the living beings and expand, causing the power of Mr. No and the others to grow. With that, the battle between Gu Chensha and this terrifying thing would be very long. It definitely wouldn't be something that could be accomplished in a day or two. Everyone entered the new universe. At the same time, some of the people on the Yonko who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra also entered the depths of the new universe. Originally, after the Dharma Saint became the spell ancestor, he seemed to be dead set on working for Gu Chensha. Unfortunately, he suddenly disappeared. Clearly, he had gone to rely on Mr. No and the others. A new world, a new universe. Everyone is developing their own spirit force and creating a new world, causing the world to grow bigger and richer. All living beings don't depend on others but on themselves. They don't fight, they only create. In such a world, the law has no meaning. There's no need to fight for material things, and everyone is infinitely wealthy. What's the use of the law then? This was Gu Chencha's evaluation of the Dharma saint. Therefore, the Dharma saint chose to leave. He felt that his Tao of law was completely useless in the new world. The new world didn't need his ideals. Therefore, he chose the old world. The meaning of his existence was law. He could only embrace his law and disappear along with the old world. The new universe began to operate. After everything was set up, Gu Chensha left the new universe. With so many people in the new universe reaching the heavenly Tao realm, they had the ability to protect themselves. Mr. No could infiltrate them. Naturally, Gu Chensha began to make arrangements in the human world. He made the human world into a cage for Mr. No and the others, slowly weakening their power. At the same time, he protected many living beings from being eroded by the old world. While protecting all living beings, he also suppressed Mr. No and the others. This was extremely difficult. Even with Gu Chencha's current cultivation base, he couldn't do it. He suppressed Mr. No in the Eternal Continent, but he still failed. Not only did he fail, but Mr. No and Mr. No joined forces to destroy the entire continent. Not a single living being was left behind. Long Zitian, which Gu Chensha had painstakingly created, was also destroyed. Chapter 1036. Middle way. In another universe, many people gathered together. These people were Mr. Wu Wu, Mr. Wu Xian, Mr. Wu Wei, and Mr. Wu Xiang. Dharma Saint Fa Wuxian, the fourth Gu Huasha, the Great Spirit God, and Long Xiangtian. Mr. Wu Wu was the leader of these people. He still wore a black cloak and his face couldn't be seen. Mr. Wu Xian, Wu Wei, and Mr. Wu Xiang were the same. But so was the fourth Gu Huasha. Fa Wuxian looked at Gu Huasha and was shocked. He felt that his strength was weaker than Gu Huasha. Originally, after he escaped, he had wanted to kill everyone with his overwhelming hatred. However, Mr. Wu Xiang had stopped him, so he had no other choice. Now, he had completely woken up. With his current strength, it wasn't enough for him to take revenge. Therefore, he had to cultivate to the 9th level of the Undying Realm before he could take revenge on everyone. In Fa Wuxian's heart, there was no one he couldn't kill. Gu Chensha had to die, Gu Huasha had to die, the Great Spirit God had to die, and even Mr. Wu Xiang and the others who saved him had to die. Not dying wasn't enough to vent his anger. Not dying wasn't enough for him to think clearly. The humiliation he had suffered these days was worse than death. Even now, when he saw the people who knew that he had become a dog, he wanted to die. Hate, hate, hate. These were all Fa Wuxian's thoughts. Other than hate, he couldn't find any other emotions. If he could vent his anger, he wouldn't hesitate to kill himself. Fa Wuxian is dangerous. He's not human anymore. He's the embodiment of hatred. Dharma Saint saw this and suddenly said to the fourth Gu Huasha, "Although we're working together, we can't trust this person. Is there a way to kill him and devour him so that he can't turn back?" This matter is simple. The fourth Gu Huasha had swallowed the Emperor of Heaven's pill, and his strength had reached an unprecedented peak. He was just a step away from comprehending the supreme undying realm, so he was not afraid of Fa Wuxian. However, he also felt that Fa Wuxian was a huge threat, and he could not let him live. Then when do we make our move? The Dharma Saint was a little worried. If we let Fa Wuxian cultivate to the undying realm, I'm afraid the first thing he will do is to kill us. This person is definitely not to be trusted. He only has resentment. Mr. Wu Wu and the rest will stop us. We have to think of a foolproof plan. Just wait and see. Mr. Wu Wu and the rest will attack Gu Chunsha. Gu Chunsha will definitely retaliate in a frenzy, and they won't be able to fend for themselves. If that's the case, we'll have a chance. After I devour the Celestial Emperor's medicinal pill, it's not impossible for my cultivation base to suppress Fa Wuxian. I have absolute confidence that this person must die. Gu Huasha said, just the two of us will be enough to deal with this matter. A good chance. Long Xiangtian watched coldly from the side. Fa Wuxian is too dangerous, he must die. However, it seems that Gu Huasha wants to attack first, so I'll wait until both of them are injured. Then, we'll devour them and obtain their power. That way, we might be able to reach the supreme undying realm. That Gu Chencha's sacrifice and the Dragonless Heart Sutra's spirit power are all bullsh*t. I definitely won't believe such nonsense. These people are scheming against each other, and Mr. Wu Wu doesn't seem to care. So this is my chance? Since ancient times, I, the great spirit god, have schemed against the world. Although I've been humiliated countless times, as long as I don't die, I can make a comeback. This Fa Wuxian was humiliated by me, and the first thing he wants to do is to kill me. I can't let him live, the great spirit god was also thinking. To him, surviving was the most important thing. Gu Chunsha would not kill him after capturing him, and Mr. Wu Wu would not kill him either. Only Fa Wuxian had to kill him, so he was clear that he had to kill Fa Wuxian to have a good life. Otherwise, his fate would be bleak. Everyone had their own plans, and Mr. Wu Wu and the rest were doing their best to send some kind of will into the human world. They set up a formation, and black qi came out of the formation, as if they were going to condense into some kind of law. Countless runes and black qi condensed into a massive net of law, which covered this universe before spreading out to other universes. From then on, the mortal world has the heavenly Tao. There is only one heavenly Tao rule, and that is the conservation of energy. Anyone who wants to become stronger must devour others. Those who violate this rule must die and no longer exist. If the conservation of energy is not maintained, then the heaven and earth is not the heaven and earth. Mr. Wu Wu Wu's will spread out. This was their plan, and if the human world really had such a law, anyone who cultivated the dragonless cultivation technique would immediately die. All of Gu Chencha's plans would become nothing more than a pipe dream. However, at this moment, a universe was suddenly born in the distance. This universe was extremely vast, and it was completely different from the old universe in the past. The potential of this universe was limitless, and there was no limit at all. It was in the shape of a heart, and as it wriggled, it gushed out energy and poured into the human realm, causing the human realm to expand at an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, a new universe would be born in the human realm. Rumble! The black qi gathered by Mr. Wu Wu and the others was immediately swept back. It was actually repelled by the essence of the human realm, and it couldn't penetrate it at all. Only he knew that the birth of a new universe represented the birth of a new heavenly Tao. The new heavenly Tao was a kind of order and a kind of law. From a certain point of view, the old order was basically the conservation of energy. A living being, from weak to strong, had to devour the energy of others. In this way, the heavenly Tao of the entire universe would devour and devour each other. The new order was about unlimited energy. Each living being had unlimited energy. The reason they came to this world was that the more they gave it, the more strength the world would allow them to display. For example, in the old world, how much spiritual energy did a person need to absorb to become a Tao realm transformation expert? When converted to energy, it was a number. In the new world, in order to become a Tao realm transformation expert, how much spiritual energy did one have to give to the world? Only then would one be able to achieve Tao realm transformation strength. In normal terms, in the old world, If a person wanted to become an official, such as a county magistrate, he had to kill another county magistrate and replace him. In the New World, he had to take out a corresponding amount of wealth, and the imperial court would naturally give him the position of county magistrate. This was the fundamental clash between the Old World and the New World. This is the birth of a new world? Gu Chernsha has created a new world, a new law, and a new cultivation system? The fourth Gu Huasha, Fa Wuxian, Dharma Saint, and the others' bodies trembled as they saw the new universe being born. This new universe gave off an aura that they had never seen before, and it attracted their essence to it. At the same time, the birth of the new universe caused many powerful existences to want to enter it. They felt that in this new universe, they would be able to obtain true eternity, boundless and invincible. Gu Chernsha has created a new universe. At that moment, in another place in the human world, the Confucianism ancestor and the Justice League's people gathered together to discuss an important matter. In the last imperial court battle, the Justice League's 36 ancestors and the Evil Alliance's 36 ancestors had been beaten up by Gu Chernsha, and they had suffered heavy losses. The Justice League's ancestor of personal loyalty had been completely taken away, and he had become an ordinary person, while his godson had become Xian's ancestor of personal loyalty. The Evil Alliance's situation was even worse, and the ancestor of evil and evil ancestor had both been demoted. Because of this, the Confucianism ancestor and the others had always obeyed Gu Chernsha, but because Gu Chernsha was powerful, they had no choice but to submit. If they had the opportunity, they would definitely act against Gu Chernsha. These people were now the great Yonko's subjects in name, but they were secretly thinking of ways to break free from Gu Chensha's rule. When news of the Gu Chensha's Fa Wuxian and the Great Spirit God being rescued, the Fourth and Dharma Saint rebelling, and the Emperor of Heaven's medicinal pills being stolen spread out, these ancestor experts were all overjoyed. In actuality, none of them wanted to have a ruler above them. Ancestor experts now stood at the peak, and they could freely travel between universes and enjoy boundless bliss. How could they want Gu Chernsha to restrict them? Although there were some ancestor experts who had successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, they still didn't feel the slightest bit of gratitude towards Gu Chernsha. They even wanted to use the Dragonless Heart Sutra to suppress Gu Chernsha, the creator. The Confucianism ancestor had successfully cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, but he didn't think that the creation of the Dragonless Heart Sutra was the truth. He believed that the old world's Tao of devouring was also possible, and the Dragonless Heart Sutra wasn't bad either. If the two were balanced, in an absolute balance, then that would be the golden mean. Confucianism emphasized the golden mean, and would never take certain things to the extreme. Chapter 1037. A Brand New Life. Chapter 1034. A new life, Confucianism ancestor. Now that that thing has appeared, which side should we stand on? The ancestor of mercy was also thinking about this. We won't rely on anyone. We'll form our own system and let Gu Chernsha and that terrifying thing fight each other. When both of them are injured, that will be the best time for us to rise up. In fact, many people have the same idea. That Fa Wuxian doesn't really want to follow that terrifying thing. But we still need to be prepared for that thing to come after us. Confucian ancestor said, we really need to think of a foolproof plan for this matter. Otherwise, we might be devoured by that terrifying thing. Compared to that, ancient dust sand is better. How about this, Ai Zhu, your cultivation is the highest. Go to the new universe of the new world and see what it is. If there's a need, we can hide inside. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Ai Zhu said, actually, it's all about benefits. We'll follow whoever benefits us. That's what I think. I've been asking around these past few days, and I found out that Zhuge Ye, Lu Baiwe, and the others have all reached the heavenly Tao realm, and their heavenly Tao realm is much stronger than Zhao Jiangshan's. I found out that the new world's heavenly Tao is far stronger than the old world's heavenly Tao. That's why we need to reach the heavenly Tao level. We can go to the new world and obtain the new heavenly Tao. That way, we'll be much stronger than the average heavenly Tao. Zhao Jiangshan was single-handedly created by us. Our righteous and evil alliance created the righteous and evil universes, and the first heavenly Tao level expert actually appeared from it. This is all because of Gu Chencha's persecution, or else we would have long since become heavenly Tao. The ancestor of mercy was indignant, but why is the new world's heavenly Tao so much stronger than the old one? Does that mean the old world is inferior to the new? If that's the case, do we have to choose the new world and abandon the old? No, my philosophy is still to obtain new things, but I won't abandon the old. We have to combine the old with the new, surpass the ancient sand, surpass that terrifying thing. Our principles, our glory, will spread across billions of spacetime, throughout the past, present, and future. We also have to create the most perfect world, the best system. Gu Chencha is nothing. What's that thing? Our Confucian school's benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, faith, loyalty, and filial piety are the best. The Confucianism ancestor's voice rang out. Confucianism ancestor, let's go take a look. The ancestor of love wanted to drag Confucianism ancestor along. Alright, we'll go scout the way in the new world. In the end, we'll be the experts who have reached the heavenly Tao realm. The Confucianism ancestor thought about it. He had wanted the ancestor of love to scout the way first. Even though the Confucianism ancestor was the leader of the Justice League, in actuality, the ancestor of love had the highest cultivation and was unfathomable. In order to maintain his authority, the Confucianism ancestor had suppressed the ancestor of love in all sorts of situations. However, the ancestor of love was incredibly powerful and had roped in a group of people to fight against the Confucianism ancestor. The two of you are the most powerful out of us, so exploring the new world and discovering the benefits is something we strongly support. At that moment, almost all of the ancestor realm experts agreed. The Confucianism ancestor and the ancestor of love each had their own plans, but they had to work together. Swish! The two of them joined together and turned into a beautiful rainbow that passed through boundless space and arrived at the edge of the new world. A huge new world, a new universe appeared in front of them. This new universe was constantly emitting spiritual qi, and immortal energy. All of these energies were injected into the human realm, causing the essence of the human realm to grow stronger at all times. What was more frightening was that the immortal energy contained the consciousness of the new world. Under the influence of this, living beings born in the depths of the human realm would automatically cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, comprehend the Dragonless Heart Sutra, and accept the consciousness of the new world instinctively. For example, the creatures affected by the old world's ideas would instinctively want to eat as soon as they were born. As for the creatures born in the new world, they would want to contribute their spirit power to the world and create spirit qi or other substances. That was the difference. Of course, the creatures born in the old world had a drawback. After they were born, if they did not absorb energy from the outside world, they would not be able to live and would die. However, it was impossible for them to know the Dragonless Heart Sutra the moment they were born. Hence, at the start, they could only maintain their own lives and slowly comprehend the Dragonless Heart Sutra, gradually developing their own spirit force. After that, they would repay the karma to the world and finally leave their body. I wonder what the new world is like, the goddess of love said to the Confucianism ancestor. We have to be careful when passing through the crystal wall. We've cultivated the Dragonless mental cultivation method and can pass through the crystal wall. I think we have to deal with it. The crystal wall is a huge obstacle for creatures who haven't cultivated the Dragonless mental cultivation method. The Confucianism ancestor activated his dragonless mental cultivation method. At that moment, the ancestor of love also activated his dragonless mental cultivation method. The two of them directly passed through the crystal wall and landed in the new world. But as soon as they touched the gray space, the entire new world seemed to possess some sort of power that instantly stripped them of their cultivation bases. Everything that carried the mark of the old world vanished into nothingness. When they landed on the ground, the two of them did not have any divine abilities and had become ordinary people. What's going on? What's going on? The ancestor of love and the Confucianism ancestor were completely flustered. Their greatest reliance was their cultivation, but now that it had been destroyed, they could not accept this. They landed on a grassy area in the new world. The grassy area was lush and green, and there were countless flowers growing on it. Among the flowers, there were small streams of spring water that looked like jade. This was like a paradise on earth. Looking around, there seemed to be grassy areas, fresh flowers, and spring water everywhere. In the distance, there were purple mountains covered in snow, and the air was filled with a refreshing smell. This was the new world. A group of children sang folk songs as they walked over. There were boys and girls among them, and the leader was a young girl who looked about 14 or 15 years old. Today, you came here to cultivate. Remember, today's lesson is to release your spirit power to enrich and beautify the entire world. Immediately, the group of children started to get busy on the grassy area. They did not pick flowers, nor did they play. Instead, they all activated their dragonless mental cultivation method, releasing their spirit power into the grassy area. One of the children seemed to release a very powerful spirit power. During the process, with him as the center, the grassy area in a circumference of several kilometers actually gave birth to spirit stones. These spirit stones accumulated, forming a statue that was as tall as a person. The statue looked like Guchensha. Spirit stone statues appeared out of nowhere, appearing on the grassy area, causing the spirit chi in the grassy area to become even denser. The grass grew, swaying in the wind, and cheers could be heard. Pung! The child unleashed his spirit force, creating 81 spirit stone idols. Suddenly, his entire body changed. His entire person dissipated, transforming into a ball of magic. Within this magic, a lot of immortal chi was born, and it began to circulate once again. This was the Tao Realm 20 transformation, gathering and scattering impermanence realm. In the past, people who cultivated to such a level could give up on spiritual energy and start to absorb celestial energy. But now in the new world, such a person would give celestial energy to the world. So, after this child cultivated to the Tao Realm 20 transformation, gathering and scattering impermanence realm, he condensed into a child form once more. He flew in front of Confucianism ancestor and ancestor of love and looked at them. You are new, right? It is obvious that you came from the old world. Although you have cultivated the dragonless mental cultivation method, you have stayed in the old world for too long and your bodies have been tainted by the old world's essence. So, when you passed through the new world's crystal wall, you were rejected by the world. Your cultivation wasn't absorbed by the new world. The new world doesn't need to absorb anything. The new world's heavenly Tao is to give and expand. What we need to cultivate is to continuously release our spirit power. Only then will we become stronger. Who are you? Confucianism ancestor and ancestor of love had lost all their strength and were like ordinary people. They didn't have any abilities and were really afraid that someone would come to kill them. Don't worry. In the new world, there is no killing, no plundering, no hatred, and no fighting. Everyone is focused on releasing their spirit power to create the world. The child said, because we can use our hearts to create all materials, there is no point in fighting for resources. I am not a special person, I am just a child in the new world. My current level, in the words of the old world, is just a child. I didn't expect a small child in the new world to have such knowledge. Ancestor of love and Confucianism ancestor were shocked. Then how can we recover our strength? It is simple to increase strength. Keep releasing spirit power to create the world. The more you give to the world, the more authority you will have. Actually, strength and realm are just a stage for the new world to show off. You can think of realm as an official position in the old world. How much money you give to the new world will give you that position. Of course, money refers to your spirit power. Official is your realm. The child explained to Confucianism ancestor and ancestor of love. Now, the creator of the new world is coming up with another way to describe realms. When the time comes, you will know. For example, I released a total of spirit power and created 150,000 kilograms of spirit stones to give to the new world. The new world allowed me to display Tao Realm 20 transformation cultivation. Actually, everyone's spirit force is boundless and boundless. If we release all of our spirit force, there's no other power that can describe it. However, this world restricts the space we can unleash our power. Only by providing energy to the world can it expand, allowing us to unleash our power. The more energy we provide to the world, the greater the space we can unleash our power. At that moment, the leading girl said, "If the two of you can give such a huge amount of spirit power to the new world, then you will be able to display ancestor realm cultivation." Chapter 1038. Time to die. Ancestor of love and Confucianism ancestor finally gave up. They knew the real reason. The moment they entered the new world, all their cultivation had been absorbed by the old world. This meant that even if they returned to the old world, they would still be ordinary people. This meant that they could not go back. They could only cultivate in the new world. It was like giving up all of your wealth and status to go to another country. If you wanted to go back, your wealth and status wouldn't be waiting for you. It's over, it's over. Confucianism ancestor was depressed. We have to start all over again. We have no way out. Who would have thought that the new world would be so dangerous, taking away all of our power? There's nothing we can do about it. Thankfully, there's no fighting, no killing, and no dark side to this place. It's absolutely safe here. In fact, it doesn't seem like there's any death here. Even if we lose our magic powers, we won't die. We can live our lives in peace. AI Zhu was quite open-minded. I'm afraid this is a good ending for us. The problem is that we've lost all of our power. If the new world is destroyed, we won't be able to escape. All we can do is die with Gu Chensha. Confucianism ancestor said, "We still have a huge foundation in the human world. We have huge families there. Once we lose our support, our families will probably be wiped out. No, I have to negotiate with Gu Chensha and get him to return our cultivation. We have to return to the old world." "What right do we have to negotiate with Gu Chensha?" Ancestor of love said, "We can only cultivate here and use the dragonless heart technique to create power. Actually, I can feel it. The cultivation in the new world is many times stronger than in the old world. For example, someone at the same level in the new world can beat 100 people in the old world." Indeed. At this time, the Confucianism ancestor also realized it. Although they had lost their powers and had become ordinary people, their vision and vast experience were still there. The experience of the old world was somewhat similar to the experience of the new world. In terms of cultivation, their comprehension and changes were also the same. It was just that the old world absorbed power, while the new world emitted power. Confucianism ancestor observed the children on the grassland and discovered a fact. In other words, at the same realm, the people of the new world were 100 times stronger than the people of the old world, or even more. Why was that? They couldn't understand. In other words, if we cultivate the heavenly Tao in this new world, we'll be more than 100 times stronger than Zhao Jiangshan? Immediately, they began to cultivate as well. Your cultivation is still very clumsy. I suggest that you go to the Dragonless Academy's newcomer division. They specialize in accepting people from the outside world who have lost all their powers. After a series of training, your ability to unleash spirit force will increase by many times and your cultivation speed will be faster. Everyone's spirit is a treasure mountain, but excavating a treasure mountain also requires technique. It isn't that simple and is even more complicated than the cultivation methods of the old world. The lady in the lead said, "All living beings in the new world have the responsibility to help each other. Since you guys have transmigrated here, I will inform the person in charge of the Dragonless Academy's newcomer division to receive you." Rumble. The lady in the lead seemed to have activated some kind of signal. In an instant, a rainbow appeared in the sky and descended, sweeping up the Confucianism ancestor and the ancestor of love, bringing them to a majestic academy. This academy looked incomparably huge, standing tall on the ground. Each building was hundreds of thousands of kilometers tall, like the palaces of a supergiant. Countless students were flying here and there densely packed. There were people in the sky and on the ground, but they were all in an orderly manner and there were no conflicts. As these people flew, their bodies emitted spirit qi, immortal qi, or even undying energy. These energies continuously fused into the depths of the world, making the world more colorful. Confucianism ancestor, ancestor of love, welcome to the new world. When the two of them landed in a large hall in the academy, a young man appeared in front of them. The two of them recognized him. He was an official of the Yonko Academy called Yu Yang. This hall is actually... The Confucianism ancestor landed on the ground and discovered that the material of this hall was Destiny Stone. The so-called Destiny Stone was the essence of the Heaven Realm, a supreme power condensed from the essence of fate. Even if a mortal obtained it, they would be able to reach the heavens in a single step. The throne of the Emperor of Heaven was made of Destiny Stone. Whoever obtained the throne of the Emperor of Heaven would be the Emperor of Heaven. Back then, the throne of the Emperor of Heaven definitely did not contain as many Destiny Stones as this one did. Looking at the Destiny Stones in the hall, the Confucianism ancestor and the ancestor of love both wanted to devour and refine them. That way, their cultivation would be able to reach the heavens in a single step, and it would not be too difficult for them to return to the ancestor realm. Looking at the expressions on the faces of the Confucianism ancestor and the ancestor of love, Yu Yang smiled and said, "Sirs, do you want to devour the Destiny Stones here? But let me tell you, this is the new world. You have to get rid of all of the old world's thoughts of plundering. In the new world, plundering anything won't increase your cultivation. Instead, it will cause you to be consigned to eternal damnation. With your intelligence, you should know this. You have both reached the ancestor realm in the new world, so changing your way of thinking is not too difficult. Alright, the two of you still have a lot of fate. After you recover your strength here, you will be thousands of times more powerful than before. After that, you can return to the new world and change it. This is the mission of the new world's people. How can we cultivate to quickly increase our strength? The ancestor of love had completely changed his way of thinking. The dragonless cultivation technique's essence is to activate your spirit power and create all sorts of source materials according to what the new world needs to enrich the new world. All of us are the masters of the new world. The two of you have already cultivated the dragonless cultivation technique and can create spirit qi. However, when you came in, you still had the way of thinking of the new world. As such, you were rejected by the new world and lost all of your power. However, as long as you quickly cultivate, it will be normal for your power to return. Now, try to use the dragonless cultivation technique to create spirit chi. Yu Yang told the two of them a series of cultivation techniques. The ancestor of love and the Confucianism ancestor immediately started to cultivate. The power of the dragonless cultivation technique shone on their bodies, and at the start, waves of spirit chi flowed out from their bodies. Then, it surged out like a flood and spread out. Crackling sounds could be heard as the two of them worked for 2 hours. It was impossible to tell how much spiritual energy they had produced. The spiritual energy transformed into spirit liquid, which flowed out and converged into a river, which then condensed into spirit stones. Kacha. After the two of them created large amounts of spirit stones, they finally started to transform into Tao Realm 20 transformation stage experts. Good, not bad. The two of you cultivate much faster than normal living beings in the new world. After all, you were once ancestor realm experts. Actually, there is death in the new world. If you stop sending out your spirit power, then at a certain point in time, the new world will wipe out all evidence of your existence. To you, that is the same as dying. You can think of the new world as a house. Once you enter, you have to pay rent. If you don't, then the landlord will chase you out. However, actually, all of us have no life and no death. Even if we die, only our mark on this world will be wiped out. Of course, all of you won't be able to understand what I am saying. This is the highest concept of the dragonless cultivation technique, which is the foundation of His Majesty Gu Chencha's theory. The new world is just a transition. In the distant future, the new world will also have heaven-toppling changes. Yu Yang smiled calmly. This caused the hearts of the Confucianism ancestor and the ancestor of love to shake. They didn't dare to go against Gu Chunxia anymore. After seeing this new world, they felt that going against Gu Chunxia was a mistake. Gu Chunxia was indeed changing this world and ruling this era. In the old world, which was the human world, Fa Wuxian was running around everywhere, killing those who had comprehended the dragonless cultivation technique. He had really gone crazy. Since he couldn't do anything to Gu Chunxia, he vented all his hatred on those who had comprehended the dragonless cultivation technique. New World, Fa Wuxian traversed through countless worlds, planes, spacetime, and universes. Fa Wuxian transformed into a huge black mouth. His mouth was filled with a devouring and crushing power. Any existence that came into contact with him would be devoured. At the same time, he looked at the huge new world. A new world, a new universe. It was something that could be seen at all times by people with high cultivation bases. To anyone who had cultivated to the divine level, the new world was attracting them. The aura that was being emitted from the new world was the smell of undying. It seemed that everyone could feel one thing. As long as they entered the new world, they would be free of tribulations, calamities, immeasurable, invincible, immortal, and indestructible. Every time Fa Wuxian saw the new world, the resentment in his heart would increase. Gu Chunxia, you bastard! You created a new world and played with so many new tricks. Do you really think you are invincible? I must devour this new world. And I must devour it in front of you. I will destroy all your efforts. Although Fa Wuxian thought so, he didn't dare to do it. He hadn't reached the invincible immortal realm. While he was wandering in different spacetime, the fourth Gu Huasha, Dharma Saint, the Great Spirit God, and others had gathered. Are we absolutely sure we can kill Fa Wuxian this time? We can't let him reach the invincible immortal realm. Otherwise we will be the first to die, Dharma Saint said. I am absolutely sure. The fourth Gu Huasha smiled coldly. Chapter 1039. Everyone wants to kill Chapter 1035. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Dharma Saint didn't think much of it. Look at the New World. Ever since the birth of the New World, many universes have been born in the human realm. The heavenly Daos of these universes are getting stronger and stronger. There might be heavenly Daos experts among them. I even suspect that there are already heavenly Daos experts in the human realm. There will be more and more people like Zhao Jiangshan. You've thought of this very well. The fourth Gu Huasha stopped and looked at the entire human realm. The human realm was so big that he couldn't imagine it. At a glance, even with his current cultivation, he couldn't see the end of it. What entered his eyes was one universe after another. They were densely packed, and space and time were constantly changing. Some universes were big, some were small, and some were strangely shaped. It seemed that some extremely powerful existence was brewing in them. In the depths of the void, all kinds of universes were constantly being born. It could be seen that the human realm was an ocean of universes. Compared to the human realm, each universe was just a drop of water in the ocean. Now, in the eyes of the fourth Gu Huasha, there were countless universes, and the new world was the creator of the universes. Every time the new world was spat out, it could create the embryonic form of a universe in the entire human world. It looked like a child blowing bubbles, blowing out many bubbles in one breath and floating in the air. And the bubbles that the new world blew were universes after universes. This was the power of the new world. Even the powerful fourth brother, Gu Huasha, was still insignificant in front of the current human world. Among the countless universes in the human world, he felt that in the future, or even now, there would be countless powerful existences born. As long as he didn't reach the immortal level 9, he would still be overtaken by some small fries. Moreover, he felt that there were some powerful existences in the new world that could make him fear them. I heard that the heavenly Tao in the new world is extremely tyrannical. If an expert who has reached the heavenly Tao realm in the new world is more than 100 times stronger than the heavenly Tao in the old world, I don't believe this. The Dharma saint said, "How could there be such a thing?" I don't believe it either. However, Gu Chunsha is quite powerful. We have to admit that even if Mr. Wu Wu and the others joined forces, they would still be extremely fearful of Gu Chunsha. Otherwise, they would have attacked long ago. I know that Lu Baiyue and the rest have also cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm, but I definitely don't believe that she's stronger than me. Otherwise, there's no point in us cultivating at all. The fourth Gu Huasha sneered. Actually, this is a kind of publicity strategy. Gu Chunsha has a lot of ideas. If that's true, then it's too terrifying. At the same realm, the people in the new world are 100 times stronger than the people in the old world. If that's the case, then who would still cultivate in the old world? They would all run to the new world. The warlock saint said, "Moreover, I've also heard that there is no such thing as a bottleneck when cultivating in the new world. There is also no need to comprehend anything. Everything is natural. For example, if a person wants to cultivate from the first transformation to the second transformation in the old world, they need to comprehend a certain realm. If the realm isn't there, then even if you absorb enough spiritual energy, it's useless and you won't be able to cultivate no matter what. But in the new world, as long as you create a certain amount of spiritual energy, you can directly advance. It's just like buying and selling. How much spiritual energy do you contribute to the new world, and the new world will give you the corresponding realm. I always feel that this is an evil path, not the right path, which realm doesn't need to comprehend. I also heard about this. This is Gu Chencha's theory. Realm is actually the authority that the world gives you to display your strength. The more you give to the world, the more authority the world gives you, and the more power you can display. It's really like buying and selling. This theory isn't without reason, but I keep feeling that something isn't right. The fourth Gu Huasha said, "Is a person's spirit force really limitless, and it's much stronger than the entire human world? Is everyone's spirit force invincible and limitless? Let's not think about this matter." The Dharma saint waved his hand, "But Gu Huasha, let me ask you something. If you cultivate in the new world and you're at the same realm, but you're 100 times stronger than us, will you cultivate in the new world? I won't. I feel that this is a crooked path. I don't think so. I think this is a crooked path. Everything Gu Chernsha has done is seeking his own destruction. He may look glorious now, but he is actually on the verge of collapse. This person is too arrogant. He wants to change the original rules of the world with his own power. Some things cannot be changed. Once changed, it will collapse. The order of the world is actually very fragile. Look, the new world is squirming now. Universes will be born at every moment, just like blowing bubbles. If this goes on, there will be many universes appearing in the human world every day. If this goes on, the void will be squeezed until it explodes. At that time, how can the void accommodate these universes? Sooner or later, the void will be squeezed until it explodes. At that time, it will be our doomsday. No one will be able to survive. Therefore, if we want to survive, we must start to stop Gu Chernsha now. We must maintain the current state of the world. Otherwise, after the void explodes, it will be too late for regret. There is indeed such a concern. Actually, Mr. Wu Wu and the others also have the same thoughts. They are afraid that the number of people cultivating the Dragonless Mental Sutra will increase. If all of them were to pour out their energy, the world wouldn't be able to withstand it and would eventually be destroyed. Because no one can predict what will happen in the future. The Dharma saint said, "Look, Fa Wuxian has entered our encirclement. He entered that universe. The heavenly Tao energy in that universe is ferociously brewing. Very soon, a heavenly Tao realm expert will be born. Therefore, he went to devour it." As expected, Fa Wuxian entered a huge universe. From the outside, this universe is still in the shape of an egg. Inside, there are the sun, moon, and stars everywhere. There are also countless planets and rivers of stars. This universe seems to be a universe with a technological civilization. Many planets in the universe have entered the interstellar era. There are trillions of planets in the universe. Each planet is extremely huge and nurtured countless life forms. Some of the life forms nurtured by these planets can cross the universe the moment they are born. They have the cultivation of the Heaven Primal Realm and even the Heaven Longevity Realm. Just like in the Heaven Realm back then, Wan Senshi and the others were born from there. They were born as primal chaos ancient life forms and have the same lifespan as Heaven and Earth. Now, this universe is filled with planets. It is much bigger than the Heaven Realm back then. It seems to have matured. The life forms of the planets are fighting and worshipping each other. The heavenly Tao energy starts to boil. At the core of the universe, a sacred embryo is condensed. After this sacred embryo is condensed, it is very likely that it will become a heavenly Tao realm expert. It will become the strongest existence in this universe, the strongest ruler. And this kind of universe was Fa Wuxian's favorite. There was no meaning for Fa Wuxian to devour other universes that had not matured yet. This was because those universes were like fruits that had not matured yet. They did not have any nutrients and were not delicious at all. And now this universe is the best delicacy. Fa Wuxian specially roams this mortal world, looking for such mature universes to devour. From there, he can strengthen himself in an attempt to reach the 9th level of the Undying Realm. And this place is a trap set up by the 4th Gu Huasha, the Great Spirit God and Dharma Saint. These people know that if Fa Wuxian doesn't die, they won't be able to live a day in peace. They will be devoured by this madman at any time. At this time, other than the 4th Gu Huasha, there are also experts like Zhang Ziren and Zhang Yiren. They didn't go to the New World but chose to observe. However, they didn't rely on Mr. Wu Wu either. On the surface, Zhang Ziren is still a subject of Gu Chensha's Yanko. Of course, he is in a state where he listens but doesn't listen to orders. He has formed a small group in the imperial court. Fa Wuxian has entered this universe. Let's start planning. Zhang Ziren appeared beside Gu Huasha. Following Zhang Ziren are many Ancestor Realm experts. These days, almost all the Ancestor Realm experts in the mortal world are on tenterhooks, afraid that they will be devoured by Fa Wuxian. Even someone like Long Xiang Tian feels that Fa Wuxian isn't a good thing and must be eliminated. Therefore, he is now working together with the fourth. Long Xiang Tian hates Gu Chunsha to the bone and Fa Wuxian hates Gu Chunsha to the bone. The two should work together, but Long Xiang Tian feels that Fa Wuxian might devour him at any time. After all, Gu Chunsha didn't kill him, and if Fa Wuxian has the chance, he won't let him go. Therefore, Long Xiang Tian agrees to eliminate Fa Wuxian immediately. Here, more than 1,000 Ancestor Realm experts have gathered. Fa Wuxian has incurred the wrath of the masses. He's done for. Above another universe ocean, in the void, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye, and Wen Hong are looking at the universe with billions of stars and the arrangements of the fourth and the others. Fa Wuxian won't live for long. However, after he falls, I wonder who will benefit from it. What are the arrangements for us to come here? To witness the birth of a fortuitous encounter? Jin Suebua asked. His current strength is still slightly inferior to Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye, Wen Hong, and the others. We are here to observe the changes and protect the people who have cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. In the old world, every person who has cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra is a precious treasure of our new world. We can't afford to lose them. Moreover, many people have joined hands to kill Fa Wuxian, which will destroy this universe and even the surrounding universes. In these universes, there are millions of people who have comprehended the Dragonless Heart Sutra. If all of them are destroyed, our losses will be too great. Wen Hong said. Right, the things that the fourth is worried about, are they reasonable? At this time, Longevity God asked. The birth of the universe is too fast. Sooner or later, the void will explode. Chapter 1040. Crazy Counterattack. Longevity God, you have to understand, for us, this world is actually just a temporary residence. Just like how we live here, our bodies are immortal, and have nothing to do with the world, fate, cause and effect, space-time. Even if the void explodes, it has nothing to do with us. For each of us who have comprehended the Dragonless Heart Sutra, only our hearts are our own. The world is just a reflection of our hearts. Therefore, your worries are unnecessary. Zhuge Ye waved his hand. The reason why the fourth is worried is because he didn't see through something, causing him to babble all day long. No one knows what he's doing. It's all useless. I see. It seems like I'm about to comprehend this truth. At that time, even if everything around us is destroyed, we will still exist. That is true immortality. Longevity God pondered. Alright, look. The heavenly Tao in this universe is starting to boil. Knowing that danger is coming, it has started to gather. The Son of Destiny, the Son of Heaven, has appeared to fight against the invasion of Fa Wuxian. Lu Baiwei said. Sure enough, in this vast universe, the heavenly Tao's power had sensed the invasion of Fa Wuxian and started to choose the Son of Destiny and the Son of Heaven to fight against the Son of Heaven. The universe itself had its own will. It couldn't allow itself to be devoured by Fa Wuxian. However, the universe's instinct couldn't turn into a human to fight against it. It could only choose the Son of Heaven, just like how the heavenly Tao chose the Emperor of Heaven. In the universe of the Endless Land, the heavenly Tao's instinct couldn't show itself. So, it chose a spokesperson, the Emperor of Heaven. After a series of battles, the Emperor of Heaven stood out, but he still couldn't save the Endless Land. The time in this universe has started to speed up. Look, that's the Son of Heaven. That's because this Star River universe is way bigger than the Endless Mainland back then. Therefore, the moment the Son of the Heavens Tao was born, he was way stronger than the heavenly emperor back then. Lu Baiyue and the rest of the crowd were watching without stopping. Indeed, when Fa Wuxian was engulfing, the universe instinctively resisted. At the same time in the universe accelerated. Only a few breaths had passed outside, but several thousand years had passed inside. Under everyone's gaze within the universe, an insignificant figure began to rise. This minor character had started out as a useless prince of an empire on a planet. He had been ostracized and bullied. Suddenly, he had a fortuitous encounter and began to mature. He led troops to fight other planets, and he grew to become a major power. Then, he began to expand. Over the course of 1,000 years, he experienced countless joys and sorrows, love and hate, and finally, he became a magnate, unified the universe, and became deathless. At this time, Fa Wuxian began to infiltrate into this universe. His aura infected countless living beings, giving birth to devourers. These devourers were like parasites, constantly devouring the universe. From the outside, Fa Wuxian's devouring process was very simple. He directly transformed into a huge black gas that enveloped the entire universe. Then, this black gas squirmed non-stop and began to seep into the fetal membrane of the universe's crystal wall to digest it. Devouring was one thing, but digestion was another. Right now, Fa Wuxian was like a huge snake that had swallowed cattle and sheep into its stomach. Then, it began to stimulate the acid in its stomach to digest it. Fa Wuxian's digestion process was the same. After he devoured the universe, the devouring power in his body gradually seeped into the universe, turning into many powerful existences, devourers, and then all the living beings in the universe were devoured. In the end, the universes will completely disintegrated and withered away. Then, the universe would collapse and die. There would no longer be any possibility of resisting him. He would obtain the experience of all the living beings in the universe, the essence of the universe's evolution, and from there, his power would increase. However, the process of Fa Wuxian devouring the universe was not very smooth. The devourers were met with resistance from the Son of the Heavenly Tao, who led the living beings in the universe. The two armies fought against each other. Unexpectedly, the Son of the Heavenly Tao destroyed many devourers. The Son of the Heavenly Tao's resistance gathered a lot of power from the universe. As more and more devourers were destroyed, his cultivation base also increased. Not bad, not bad. Although Fa Wuxian devoured the universe, he encountered indigestion. Wen Hong laughed. It's not that easy to digest the universe. The universe's instinct was born, and the Son of the Heavenly Tao actually started to resist, hindering his digestion. Moreover, the Son of the Heavenly Tao continued to destroy the devourers, which allowed him to temper himself. This is also because Fa Wuxian can't bear to part with the universe's fat. If he didn't use the digestion method and directly destroyed the universe, then it would be very difficult for the universe to resist. Longevity God said. Then it would be pure destruction. Lu Baiwe waved her hand. This way, Fa Wuxian wouldn't get any benefits. He might even be injured by the universe's desperate counterattack when the universe explodes. The gains do not make up for the losses. Fa Wuxian is a madman, but he wouldn't do such a thing. Because if he gets injured, it means that many people would want to kill him. Therefore, he chose to slowly devour and digest, weakening the universe's heavenly Tao bit by bit. That's the best outcome. But I don't think it's that simple. Zhang Ziren, the fourth, and the others are going to take action. Look, they have already secretly buried the foreshadowing in this universe. Now they are also supporting the Son of the Heavenly Tao. When Fa Wuxian starts to be in a stalemate with this universe, they can make a move and seal Fa Wuxian. Then, with everyone's strength, we can completely destroy Fa Wuxian. Wen Hong said. This Fa Wuxian doesn't even have a single friend. How pitiful. Back then, in the land of infinity, his strength was above ours. Back then, he specialized in the fief of Chernsha and was beaten back by us. That insufferably arrogant look on his face. Lu Baiwa thought back to the past and felt as though it was a dream. It hasn't been that long, just a little over 1,000 years. To think that the state of the world would have turned into this. The land of infinity back then has long disappeared, replaced by the human realm, the countless universes and oceans. This is truly an era of great changes. I can't imagine what the state of the world would be like after another 1,000 years. We are fortunate to have grown up in such an era of great changes, Jean Suebwa said. If we were still in the land of infinity back then, it would be a tragedy. The world is too small and we would never be able to grow. Indeed, this is an era of great changes. Guys, take a look. Within this universe, people who have cultivated the dragonless mental skill are being born as well. Even the Son of the Heavens Tao has started cultivating the dragonless mental skill to fight against the devouring power of Fa Wuxian. This is my plan. At this moment, Lu Baiwa pointed at the universe and said, in order to avoid the devouring power of Fa Wuxian, the universe has to cultivate the dragonless mental skill to create something out of nothing in order to fight against the situation. And indeed, within this universe, the Son of the Heavens Tao was the first to start cultivating the dragonless mental skill, causing the power within his body to rise steadily. After that, many of his subordinates started comprehending it as well. Large numbers of people who had cultivated the dragonless mental skill were born. Their powers were raised by tens of times, and the source power of the entire universe was increasing as well. An endless amount of power started surging out as countless golden spears and armored horses appeared with an aura that could devour the mountains and rivers. This was happening right in the middle of the Star River. Fa Wuxian has been trapped. Zhang Ziren looked at the situation in the Star River. It's time for us to reap the harvest. The foreshadowing we've set up will accelerate the power of the heavenly Daos in this universe to fight against the devouring power of Fa Wuxian. But now, the Son of the Heavens Tao has actually started cultivating the dragonless mental skill. That's not what we want. If he succeeds in cultivating the dragonless mental skill, will he become a part of the new world? We're also people who have comprehended the dragonless mental skill, but we're not part of the new world either. We're still fighting against Gu Chernsha. The fourth said, actually, there are many people who have cultivated the dragonless mental skill, but there are many who don't follow Gu Chernsha's ideals. Gu Chernsha is stubborn, and he's not a good person. Once this Son of the Heavens Tao is born, he might have cultivated the dragonless mental skill, but he won't go to the new world, because once he does, he'll have to start all over again. Who can bear that? In any case, we have to be prepared. If this Son of the Heavens Tao doesn't side with us, then we'll die together with Fa Wuxian. We'll seal Fa Wuxian and refine him into a powerful weapon. Then, he'll be invincible under the imperishable realm. Zhang Ziren said. That's right. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Actually, Fa Wuxian is already a half-step imperishable realm, and he's very strong. Anything under the imperishable realm is useless against him. Who knows how many universes he's devoured these days, and his devouring power has reached the highest level. If we can refine him into an artifact, we'll be many times stronger. The fourth had the same idea. Killing Fa Wuxian was secondary. More importantly, he wanted to refine Fa Wuxian into an artifact. Once Fa Wuxian was refined into an artifact, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Moreover, the fourth had another idea. After refining Fa Wuxian into an artifact, he could become one with the artifact. That way, he would be able to truly comprehend the imperishable realm. He knew that only when he reached the imperishable realm would he be able to fight against Gu Chernsha. Damn it, you ants! How dare you resist my devouring? That's treason! Fa Wuxian was infuriated. All of a sudden, a pure power of nothingness erupted from his body. Gu Huasha, Zhang Ziren, do you really think I don't know that you've been plotting against me? You've underestimated me, Fa Wuxian. I've been waiting for you to fall into your trap, and then I'll take you all out in one fell swoop. The world is boiling, the universe is stirring, and my power will reach the pinnacle. Comprehend the imperishable realm. Come out. Rumble. Fa Wuxian's power transformed into a pure black color, without the slightest impurity. It was completely different from Heaven Dao energy. Invincible. I can't believe he's in the invincible deathless state. Guasha exclaimed. Impossible. Chapter 1041. The universe moves in the blink of an eye. Fa Wuxian had reached the 9th level of the imperishable level. This realm was so mysterious that there were only 2 existences in the world, one was Gu Qinsha and the other was that terrifying thing. Apart from them, no matter how hard others cultivated, they couldn't reach this realm. Even Gu Huasha, who thought that he swallowed the Emperor of Heaven's pill, was far from it. To reach Undying Level 9, the Supreme Undying Realm, wasn't something that could be achieved with just hard work. Even if he had cultivated to the Heavenly Dao Realm, he was still just a slightly larger ant. Because right now, universes were being born in the human world. Although there were big and small universes, theoretically speaking, each universe had a chance to give birth to a Heaven Dao Realm expert. Because of this, millions of Heaven Dao Realm experts would appear in the future. Not to mention, in the New World, there would be countless Heaven Dao Realm experts. However, these experts basically couldn't reach the Supreme Undying Realm. The Supreme Undying Realm was basically on a different level from the Heaven Dao. It was like a person who had reached gathering and dispersing impermanence realm fighting someone who was still in the physical body realm. From Dao Realm 1 to 19 changes, no matter how strong one was, it was still the physical body. But once one reached 20 changes, the gathering and dispersing impermanence realm would become magical power that could travel freely and become chi. Then, the physical body wouldn't be able to win. Of course, once one reached the Supreme Undying Realm, one wouldn't be able to kill all Heaven Dao Realm experts. No matter how many Heaven Dao Realm experts worked together, they still wouldn't be a match. Actually, Gu Qinsha had built the New World and had Lu Baiwei and the others reach the Heaven Dao Realm. Although they couldn't defeat the Supreme Undying Realm experts, they could block the attacks of the Supreme Undying Realm experts for a long time, which would buy him time to save them. And now, the New World couldn't be invaded by the Supreme Undying Realm experts. Mr. Wu, Mr. Wuxin, Mr. Wuwei, Mr. Wuxiang, and the others could only think of ways to attack from the outside. It was impossible for them to infiltrate and stir up trouble. This was also the reason why Gu Qinsha built the New World. It was like a tortoise shell, making it hard for these people to bite. At the same time, he would use the New World as a foundation to expand in all directions, gradually expanding it. This would cause all living beings in the world to gradually cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, accepting their ideals, thoughts, and karma. That way, Mr. Wu Wu and the others would not have the resources to feed them, and would eventually be weakened and destroyed. This was akin to boiling a frog in warm water, causing them to unknowingly fall into a desperate situation. This was an overt plot. However, Mr. Anul also knew of his predicament and they were trying to think of a way to deal with it. They were helpless against the New World, but as the New World continued to create more universes, if they could rope in the people of these universes and accept the ideals of the Old World, then Mr. Nun and the others would be able to obtain a lot of resources to strengthen themselves and produce more experts. Of course, anyone who accepted the ideals of Mr. Anul would be devoured sooner or later. This was something Gu Qinsha knew, but there were many people in the world who refused to come to their senses. Even if some of the living beings were created by Gu Chunxia, these living beings still accepted the ideals of Mr. Anul and the others. It was like how parents would give birth to an unfilial son. If the son did not listen to his parents and wanted to walk the path of death, the parents would not be able to do anything about it. Gu Chunxia was only doing his best to change things. Even with Gu Chenxia's cultivation, it was impossible for all living beings to be of the same mind as him and walk on the right path. However, as the new world was established and slowly managed, more and more people would accept the new world's ideals. These people would eventually snowball and eventually occupy all the worlds. At that time, it would be the time for the countless universes in the world to be completely changed. All of you must die. Fa Wuxian unleashed the power of the undying level, which swept out toward the fourth, Zhang Ziren, and the other progenitors. The fourth was shocked, and used all of his power to clash with Fa Wuxian. Rumble! The fourth's body was shattered, but he soon reformed. Although he looked dispirited, he was still alive. Everyone, let's join forces. Don't be afraid. Fa Wuxian's invincible imperishable level isn't actually very profound. He's intermittent, and not truly invincible imperishable. Sometimes he's invincible imperishable, and sometimes he's not. Clearly, he's in a very contradictory state. The fourth roared, "That's why we can refine him and turn him into a weapon or a magical treasure." Rumble! With number 4 doing this, it boosted all of the Ancestor Realm experts' confidence. Immediately, all the progenitors used their power to form a great formation to suppress Fa Wuxian. You ants! Just wait until I reach the invincible imperishable level, and you'll all die. You think you can fight me? In front of me you are all animals. Fa Wuxian was furious, and his power increased. At this time, the universe's origin in the starry river cosmos knew that it was about to be destroyed, and immediately launched a peerless counterattack. Woo 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 woo. The sound of ghosts crying and gods howling resounded. In the battlefield of the starry river cosmos, the army led by the son of the heavenly Tao saw more and more devourers, and his expression changed. Your Majesty, the army of devourers is increasing in number, and they're getting fiercer and fiercer. All of a sudden, the army of devourers is 100 times stronger, and we're losing ground again and again. Is our universe going to be destroyed? The son of the heavenly Tao's name was Tang Bei. He was the prince of a planetary empire, and became the son of the universe. For thousands of years, he led the army to fight against the devourers. In the starry river cosmos, planets and galaxies were occupied by the devourers, and the universe was in danger. In the moment of crisis, the son of the heavenly Tao suddenly discovered that the devourers had become dozens of times stronger in the blink of an eye. How could they fight? Heavens, is our universe going to be destroyed? I curse these devourers, the devourer ancestor behind the scenes. If I have the chance, I will definitely kill the devourer ancestor. The son of the heavenly Tao Tang Bei's cultivation was very strong, but he hadn't reached the heavenly Tao level, and was only a peak progenitor. The moment he swore, the entire starry river cosmos's heavenly Tao erupted, and in the blink of an eye, all of its power was poured into Tang Bei's body. Tang Bei's power immediately increased. Rumble! He reached the true heavenly Tao level, and he was much stronger than the Emperor of Heaven in the past. He brandished the sword in his hand. Whoosh! The sword chi pierced through countless galaxies and reached the edge of the universe. It was unknown how many devourers were completely destroyed by this sword, and the devourers killed by the sword chi merged with the origin of the universe, causing many planets in the universe to be born, and in this way, the time of the universe's destruction was delayed. Despicable ant! Fa Wuxian felt that the Milky Way and universe in his body seemed to be retaliating, and he was enraged once again. This is your last retaliation. Since that's the case, Then I'll let you have one last time. You'll die when you're satisfied. You're just a spent force. Facing the attack of Tang Bei, an expert who had reached the heavenly Tao level, Fa Wuxian didn't care at all. It was only a little damage to his vitality. He mobilized his cultivation, turned around again, and continued to devour the fourth and other progenitors. War progenitor, fighting progenitor, anti-progenitor, evil progenitor. You people dare to join Gu Huasha to devour me. This is simply disgraceful. Aren't you afraid of being devoured? Fa Wuxian tried to split the hearts of the people. Fa Wuxian, you have gone mad, and there is no reason to speak of. Do you think you will let us go if we don't kill you? How many universes have you devoured these days, and how many progenitors have you? Did those people provoke you? If they didn't provoke you, why did you devour them? So, if you are not destroyed, the heavens will not tolerate it. We must unite against a common enemy and kill you. All the progenitors were united at this moment. With just you? Gu Huasha, you have cultivated to this level with great difficulty. Aren't you afraid that all your cultivation will be destroyed? My supreme immortal realm is not something you can compare to. Today, I will use you as a sacrifice to my blade. Fa Wuxian roared. Countless wisps of black gas swept out from his body and wrapped around the fourth Gu Huasha. Fa Wuxian, you are not in the supreme immortal realm now, so you can't use it for a long time. If you were in the supreme immortal realm, then we really can't do anything to you, and can only wait for death. But now, do you really think we can't do anything to you? Zhang Ziren, use our trump card. The fourth Gu Huasha smiled coldly. Alright, let's pray together. Zhang Ziren had already prepared for this. He roared and communicated with all the progenitors. His divine will condensed into one, and he sent a message to the countless universes. The countless universes of the human realm. Fa Wuxian is devouring your universes one by one. Are you still not awakened? If you are awakened, activate your heavenly Tao power, and unite to suppress, seal, and kill Fa Wuxian. If he doesn't die, all the universes will be destroyed and devoured by him. Everyone will be in danger, and all the universes will turn into ashes and become his resources. At that time, he must be destroyed. There were thousands of progenitors present, and there were also Zhang Ziren, the fourth Gu Huasha, Long Xiangtian, and other heavenly Tao realm experts, especially Zhang Ziren. After all, he was the human ancestor and the original master of the human realm. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.